Naruto God Level System, Chapter 541 to 560. Chapter 541 Pitted Sugar. Shiraxing, these big sisters won't hurt you. Hyuga-chen reached out and rubbed Shirahoshi's pink yuhi-colored hair. Baixing didn't speak, buried his head in Hyuga-chen's arms, and left the hometown where he lived. In addition, she is very afraid of life, so after leaving Fishman Island, she has been lying in Hyuga-chen's arms. At this time, Hyuga-chen was the person she was most familiar with, and only lying in Hyuga-chen's arms could Shirahoshi feel the warmth. Actually, Shirahoshi doesn't need to be afraid. Hyuga-chen stroked Shirahoshi like a small animal. Brother Chen, am I very useless? Baixing raised his head with tears in his eyes, which could turn into pouring rain at any time. How could that be? Hyuga-chen stroked her head and comforted her. At the same time, a few giants, like the sea kings of the island, were quietly watching Hyuga-chen's warship. They could feel that their king was on that ship now. One waited until the ship was completely invisible before they returned to the incomparably dark seabed. Of course, Hyuga-chen also felt the existence of those behemoths, but he ignored them, they were not malicious anyway. The warship rushed out of the bottom of the sea and came to the sea. The warm sunlight fell on the deck of the warship. Baixing opened his eyes and looked towards the sky. 560 Although there is sunshine on Fishman Island, the sun cannot be seen. The sunshine of Fishman Island is Sunshine Eve, which transmits sunlight to Fishman Island. Therefore, Fishman Island, which is located 10,000 meters under the sea, has not been destroyed. Darkness shrouded. Is that the sun? Baixing squinted to the sky, then looked around, full of novelty about everything around him. Shirostar, how are you feeling? Hyuga-chen asked. I feel that the air is fresher, and the sea is so beautiful. Baixing pointed to the golden yellow sea under the sunlight. Actually, to us, your Fishman Island is even more amazing. Nami held the gold box. Although the box was very heavy, Nami kept holding it and didn't let go, for fear that it would be gone after letting go. Baixing looked at Nami, although her eyes showed a hint of timidity, but she was not so afraid. Hancock came over and picked up Baixing. Baixing struggled for a while, looked back at Hancock's charming smiling face, and immediately stopped struggling. The one who has the best relationship with Shirahoshi now is Hancock, except for Hyuga-chen, because Hancock's charm will be fascinated by men, women and children, and Shirahoshi is no exception. And Xingtang was very dissatisfied when she saw it. She always wanted to play with Baixing, but Baixing never played with her. Stop pouting, you know how to play all day long, let's practice. Kurla patted Sugar's head. I don't want to practice. Cultivation can be tiring. I have your protection, so don't be afraid. Shatang said while sitting on the deck. Little girl, I won't protect you. Ain said while pinching Sugar's face. Sister, Ain bullied me. Sugar opened Ain's hand dissatisfied, and then called her sister Monet. If you practice hard yourself, you won't be bullied next time. Monet said with a smile. Xiatang, seeing as you are so lazy, here is a way for you to quickly increase your strength without getting tired at all. Would you like to give it a try? Robin smiled darkly. Really? Sugar stood up immediately and looked at Robin expectantly. If there is really a way to increase strength quickly and not get tired, where will Sugar be spared? However, Sugar doesn't think about it. Where in this world can a pie fall from the sky? Even if there is a pie, it can only fall on your head unless the pie is as big as the whole world. And looking at Robin's increasingly dark smile, he knew that it was definitely not a good thing. However, Sugar, who has been confused by the big pie, will pay attention to these. You really decided, don't regret it. Of course you won't regret it, Sister Robin, hurry up and tell me the method. Sugar shook Robin's arm vigorously. Hyuga-chen shook his head. Why did Robin seem to have become black-bellied? Since you begged me, I'll give you the method. Robin's hand filled with electricity, and then put it on Sugar's hand. There was a crashing sound of electric current, and Sugar's hair stood up immediately, and a puff of black smoke came out of his mouth, and then fell on the deck. Robin, sugar will be all right. Monet looked at the sugar that fell on the ground, very worried. It's okay, I just use electrical stimulation to strengthen her cells. It doesn't do any harm to her, but her body will be sore. Robin said with a smile. Do you want to give it a try? This method is very effective. It can definitely increase your strength quickly, and it has no side effects. Robin looked at Monet, Anne and the others. Monet immediately shook his head and said quickly, this method should be used by others. I think Anne is very suitable. Don't, I'm not interested in this. I think Brother Chen's strengthening is enough. I keep practicing every day, and I don't need to use this method. Anne said the same. Seeing Sugar lying on the ground, looking like he was about to cry, with electricity flashing from time to time, Monet and Anne immediately refused. They would rather train hard than be abused like this. It seems really hard to see the sugar. After a long time, the numbness on Sha Tang disappeared, and then he got up from the deck and looked very angry at Robin's black-faced smile. Robin, you deceitful bad woman, I will never trust you again. Sugar said angrily. Sugar, I didn't deceive you, can you feel your body a little stronger? Robin said with a smile. Sugar does feel that her body is strengthened, but the enhancement is too little, and I am completely sorry for the bitterness I have eaten. But Robin didn't lie to her. Sugar can only eat this dumb loss. Chen, baby's heart is so bitter. Sugar threw herself on Hyuga Chen, wanting to seek comfort. You deserve it. There is no such thing as a pie in the world. Even if a pie does fall, it won't hit you on the head. Hyuga Chen tapped Sugar's head and stroked her hair that stood up. Hyuga Chen aggrieved. People have suffered such a big crime, you don't know how to comfort them. You're also a big bad guy, just as bad as Robin. Sugar clenched her small fist and beat Hyuga Chen angrily. If you're not honest, I'll throw you out. Being threatened, Sha Tang immediately calmed down, sat in Hyuga Chen's arms and stopped moving, obediently watching Hyuga Chen tidy her hair. Looking at the sugar that suddenly quieted down, Hyuga Chen still felt that he was not used to it. Chapter 542 Meet Yuhi_. Humph. Bad woman. Sugar walked past Robin and snorted heavily. After a while, Sha Tang came over again, to actually bully Sha Tang. How could this woman be so bad? Robin, who was reading a book, was full of black lines. Sure enough, she shouldn't provoke Sugar. I didn't expect this girl to hold grudges so much. For half a day, she has been walking around by her side. Do you feel guilty in your heart? Guilt is useless, you are a bad woman. Sugar came out again. This time Robin couldn't bear it anymore, and grabbed her over. Sugar looked at Robin who was doing it, and his eyes widened. Hurry up and let me go, Kunzi doesn't move. Sha Tang struggled hard, but compared to Robin, the strength of her struggle was negligible. Sorry Sugar, I'm not a coon, I'm just a little girl. Sugar looked at Robin's arcing hand, dangling in front of him, and couldn't help swallowing. What do you want to do? I can warn you, if you dare to touch me, I will let Chen teach you a lesson. Sha Tang said with a little panic. She didn't want to enjoy the feeling of being paralyzed again. Little girl, now you know you're afraid. Robin smiled and looked at Sugar. And Sha Tang raised his head, just didn't speak, and he couldn't lose his momentum if he lost anything. Just say I'm wrong now, and I can let you go, or you can just lie down for a while. Robin threatened to Sugar. Sister Robin, I was wrong. Sugar immediately gave in shamefully. Anyway, she definitely didn't want to enjoy the electric shock again. I'll let you go this time, and next time I won't let you go easily. Robin let go of the Sugar. Sugar let out a sigh of relief, then ran away immediately and threw herself into Hyuga Chen's arms. Chen, Robin bullied me again, she also threatened me, you help me teach her a lesson. Xiatang, be honest and look at Bai Xing. If you are taught a lesson next time, you deserve it. Sugar pouted, she already had an idea in her heart, anyway, she would never eat this loss, and she would definitely let it out. Sha-Tang decided in his heart that when Robin was taught by Chen to be powerless, it would be her chance to take revenge, and she wanted her to look good at that time, hee. Robin, who was reading the book, felt his body cold, as if he was being stared at by something terrifying. His eyes looked at the smiling sugar not far away, and he immediately became vigilant. What the hell is this little girl doing? It seems that you must be vigilant in the future. Robin said secretly. Brother Chen, there's a boat over there. Bai Xing, who was looking around with a telescope, ran over and said, pointing ahead. Hyuga Chen looked up. For Emperor Yuhi Hair Shanks. This guy is not with the New World. What is he doing in the first half of the Great Waterway? That's right, the ship in front is Yuhi's pirate ship of Shanks. Looking at the direction they are traveling, it is the Chambord Islands. Maybe they want to return to the New World. Is that the pirate's ship? I heard that the pirates are very vicious. Why don't we avoid it? Bai Xing said worriedly. Don't worry Shirahoshi, we don't need to be afraid of them. Alvia stroked Shirahoshi's head. And the people from the Yuhi pirates also discovered Hyuga Chen's warship, and frowned at Hyuga Chen's warship. Boss, I didn't expect to meet Admiral Hyuga Chen. What should we do now? Should we go around? Lajalu asked while nibbling at the meat. Shanks frowned. He never thought that it would be so coincidental that he bumped into Hyuga Chen's warship all of a sudden. If they go around, then the reputation of their Yuhi pirates will not matter. Although Shanks doesn't care much about face issues, he also has his own pride. Especially if he avoided Hyuga Chen's warship, it would spread to the New World, and there would definitely be many pirates who would challenge them to Yuhi's pirate group and pull them down to become the Four Emperors. In the New World, if you want to become the Emperor of the Sea, it is to kill the previous Four Emperors and replace him as the new Emperor. Therefore, the Four Emperor pirates must not show their weak side, otherwise it will only attract the provocation of countless pirates. Beckman, do you think this should be done? Shanks asked the co-captain Beckman. Beckman is Shanks' think tank, the military advisor on the ship, and has a good strength. If I make a sensible choice, it must be to avoid Hyuga-chan. If he really shoots at us, we really only have the chance to escape. But you are the captain, and it is up to you to decide. Beckman said. Then go straight ahead, don't turn around. Shanks decided. The crew on board didn't say anything, but laughed excitedly. The head really didn't disappoint me. Reikalu said, if Shanks really decided to bypass, then they would be disappointed instead. They have become the Four Emperor pirates, and they will not be afraid of anyone, even Hyuga Chen, the strongest man in the world. However, in the future, I don't know if they will regret their choice. Is it a provocation to us? Tautu's eyes widened, and her slender and beautiful 5 fingers were holding the famous sword Jinpyra. The boat that met Hu-kun didn't dodge far away. This is disrespectful to Hu-kun. The concubine will not forgive their sins. Hancock clenched his fists. Yuhi, it's really funny. Hyuga Chen chuckled twice. The 2 boats approached slowly, and finally stopped at a distance of 50 meters. I didn't expect to meet the Admiral, what an honor. Yuhi Fashanks said with a smile. Seeing that I haven't run away, is it because I'm tired of drifting on the sea and want to live in the underwater prison for a while? Hyuga Chen stood up and looked at Shanks and said. I don't want to go to the great underwater prison, but it would be a shame if I ran away in despair, Shanks said. Cap said he was going to arrest you. I wonder if he did anything. Shanks was stunned for a moment, then thought of Luffy. He led Luffy to the path of the pirates, and Garp would definitely not let him off easily. Of course, this is also Luffy's desire to become a pirate from the beginning, otherwise Shanks would not be able to lead him to the path of a pirate. I was quite surprised when I found out that Luffy's grandfather was Garp. Shanks said. In fact, Shanks didn't know that Luffy's grandfather was Garp at first, and he only found out later. Now Garp is thinking of tearing you down. You said if I want to take you up and hand it over to Garp and see how he demolishes you. Hyuga Chen crossed his arms and looked at Shanks. Shanks laughed twice, without showing the slightest fear. If he was really scared, he would have walked around long ago, and would never meet Hyuga-chen. I don't think General Hyuga will take me lightly, Shanks said. The existence of the 4 emperors stabilizes the new world. If one of the 4 emperors has an accident, the situation that has just stabilized will be out of control again. However, Shanks didn't know that Hyuga-chen never cared about the stability of the situation in the new world. Chapter 543 Go to War. The scene is hot. Yuhifa, it's bad luck for you to meet me, so accept it today. Hyuga-chen looked at Shanks lightly. Shanks' face became solemn. Hyuga-chen really would do something to him. Head, it seems to be a little bad now. We had a conflict with Admiral Hyuga-chen. I don't know if we will be caught in the underwater prison, ha 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 ha. Leikalu laughed. This guy actually dares to laugh, it's really rampant. Let his concubine take care of this dead fat man. Hancock said angrily. Captive arrow. Not good. Dodge immediately. Shanks' pupils shrank suddenly, and then let the crew dodge immediately. Although Shanks' crew was not many, each of them were elites, and with the help of others, many people avoided the pink Yuhi-colored arrows. But there were also people who were petrified by arrows. Shanks looked at the petrified crew and the petrified ship, and his face immediately became ugly. Shanks is a person who values the crew very much, just like Whitebeard. Looking at the petrified crew, Shanks clenched his fists. How to remove the petrification? Shanks asked, putting away the anger on his face. Remove the petrification. If you want to remove the petrification, then come and defeat the concubine. Hancock said arrogantly. Shanks looked at Hyuga-chen, and for the first time he regretted his choice. If he avoided Hyuga-chen, there would be no such thing, but for the so-called dignity, it is likely that his crew was lost. Don't think about lifting the petrification, let Tina smash them, the formation of black spears. The steel spear stabbed straight at Shanks' ship. Do it with your hands. Shanks pulled out the western sword from his waist, and used the sword to block the flying steel spear. Alvia pulled out the katana, which had not been used for a long time, and slashed the pirates with a sword at Yuhi. Baby 5 is even more exaggerated, and directly produced several metal storm machine guns. Now the weapon fruit of Baby 5 has been developed to awakening, and it is no longer limited to turning itself into a weapon, but can create a weapon. Monet, Ain and Sha Tang, who joined in the fun, controlled a machine gun and shot the pirates frantically at Yuhi. Baby 5 again makes a missile launcher. Lord Chen, let's launch it. Give them a missile to try. Baby 5 said breathlessly. The weapons made by her will also consume her stamina when used. Monet and the others use machine guns to shoot frantically, but they consume the stamina of Baby 5. Yuhi looked at the sword chi that was slashing over, and immediately blocked it with his sword. As soon as he touched it, his body flew upside down like a kite with a broken string and smashed into his own boat. It's even stronger than Hawkeye's slash. Shanks' arm muscles bulged, and armament hockey covered the blade and arm. Damn, the firepower is too strong to stop it. Under the metal torrent created by the metal storm, even the sniper Jesus BU couldn't do anything. Many petrified companions were instantly turned into powder by bullets. Reikulu watched this scene, biting Kiba very weakly. Dodge me all, don't fight hard. Ben Beckman shouted, biting Kiba. But we avoided, what about the petrified companions? Lajalu roared. There's no more control now, we'll all die if we don't avoid it, Beckman said, using armament hockey to cover his shield while blocking the torrent of bullets. Now Beckman is very clear that if they are not careful this time, the Yuhi pirates will be wiped out. Bai Xing's eyes widened. When had she seen such a scene? Shirostar, let's fire the missile. Hyuga Tatsu put the controller in Shirahoshi's hand. Hesitated for a moment, then clicked on the Yuhi-colored launch button, and the missile made by Baby 5 instantly lifted into the air. Hyuga Chen thought about it, but still didn't double the use of Momo fruit for the missile, otherwise it would be too exaggerated. Now his ship is too close to Yuhi's ship, and if he doubles up with Momo fruit, the power of the explosion will sweep his ship in two. Although Hyuga-chen can block it, it is not necessary, and the missiles without doubling are enough for them. Yuhi Fashanks was slashed out by Alvia's sword energy again, and his body fell into the sea. And Beckman looked at the sky as about to come down, with a funny smiley symbol, full of ridicule missiles. His face is extremely ugly. Although he didn't know what it was, Beckman could feel a strong sense of danger. Abandon the ship and run away for me. Beckman jumped directly into the sea. Leikulu and others hesitated, and then jumped into the sea. Missile bombed, and Yuhi's pirate ship was instantly shattered. Beckman, who jumped into the sea, was hit by the powerful shockwave and vomited blood. Even Beckman, who was second only to Shanks in strength, let alone others. Even the Yuhi fat pirates lost 2 cadres. Beckman stuck his head out of the sea, took out his revolver, and aimed it at Hyuga-chan. "Stop attacking me or I'll shoot," yelled Beckman. "Stop attacking. What are you? You can threaten me to stop attacking," Hyuga-chan said disdainfully. Beckman bit Kiba, covering armament Haki's bullet, and pierced towards Hyuga-chan's forehead. The corners of Hyuga-chan's mouth curved into an arc, and then with a flick of his hand, the bullet that flew towards him turned a corner. Bullet pierced through a head, and Yuhi sent one of the officers of the pirate group to die in the sea with his eyes wide open. Beckman's eyes widened, and his face instantly changed to Yuhi. "Hyuga-chan, I'm going to kill you." Beckman stomped on the air and flew up from the sea, which was exactly Moonstep's technique. In fact, there are many pirates who can moonwalk, because moonwalking is indeed very practical. Looking at the fist that Beckman bombarded, Khalifa crossed his fingers. Protective barrier. The barrier that suddenly appeared blocked Beckman's bombarding fist. That's right, Hyuga-chan gave Khalifa the barrier fruit. "My mother's blood is about to burn. Nuauchigao, Nami, you two don't stop me." Belmo, who was holding a rifle, shouted loudly. "Belmer, your strength is too weak, let's stop," Nuauchigao said helplessly. "That's right, let's count the gold coins together." Nami and Nuauchi tugged at Belmer. "It's actually said that I'm weak. I think I was the Navy who caught pirates back then," Belmer shouted. However, Nami and Nuauchigao didn't listen. To be honest, Belmer's strength is indeed very weak. It is estimated that even a pirate can't beat her, and she will not be used. Shock barrier. The high-speed moving barrier slammed Beckman back into the sea. "Damn, stop me," Shanks roared, and a huge sword chi slashed towards the warship, but it was also completely blocked by the raised barrier, and there was only a crack in the barrier. This is the power of the barrier fruit. This defense is not blown, even the attack of the 4 emperors can be defended. Shanks looked at the unbroken barrier and felt a sense of powerlessness. Chapter 544 Escape. "Hyuga-chan, how are you going to let us go?" Shanks stood on a wooden board floating in the sea. "The torrent of bullets has disappeared, because the Baby 5 really can't hold it. I haven't had enough of it yet." Sugar felt a little unhappy. "Baby 5 doesn't want to talk to this girl. If it makes you happy, it can make me die from exhaustion." "Let you go. Don't be silly, you are pirates, I am a navy, justice will not allow you to go," Hyuga-chan said with a smile. The corners of Robin's mouth twitched when he heard this. "You are really not suitable for such words. Next time, don't say such high-sounding words." "Let them go, I'll stay here at your disposal." Shanks took a deep breath and said. "Head." Lajalu looked at Shanks, leaving tears of emotion. There were still tears, but I didn't plan to leave alone. It's a really touching scene. I've been touched by you all, don't worry. Just based on your feelings, I won't let any of you leave," Hyuga-chen assured them. "Shanks, hurry up and leave, I'll block them, I believe I'll be fine," Beckman said. Shanks shook his head. In fact, anyone who stayed was to die, not to mention Hyuga-chen, even the group of women on the warship could end them. "I won't leave my crew behind." Shanks clenched the western sword in his hand. "Hyuga-chan, let's have a one-on-one duel. If you don't defeat me within 10 minutes, then let us go," Shanks said with a deep breath. "Joke, why did Hukun agree to a duel with you?" Hancock sneered disdainfully. Hancock is right, why should I agree to this condition, is it any good for me? As the strongest man in the world, are you afraid, or are you sure you can beat me in 10 minutes? Shanks said with a big laugh. Wherever you need a husband, Coon, the concubine can knock you down. Hancock said with his fists clenched in annoyance. Okay, I'll give you this chance, I hope you can hold on for 10 minutes. Hyuga Chen said with a smile. Shanks held the western sword, his face was very solemn, and he held onto it for 10 minutes in Hyuga Chen's hands, which he was sure of. Light speed kick. The golden light hit Shanks in an instant. Fortunately, Shanks protected himself with armament hockey, otherwise half of his fighting power could be wiped out with one kick. Hyuga Chen stepped on the sea, and the sea was frozen. An ice spear appeared in Hyuga Chen's hand. Come on. Let me see the strength of the 4 Emperor Shanks. Come on then. Shanks stepped on the ice, and his powerful force left a tiny crack on the ice. The western sword in his hand stabbed straight at Hyuga Chen's face. Hyuga Chen put the ice spear in front of him, blocking Shanks' straight thrust, and his western sword was still freezing. Upon seeing this, Shanks immediately retreated. If he hadn't known that the person in front of him was Hyuga Chen, Shanks would have thought he was fighting against Admiral Aokiji. What devil fruit did you eat? Shanks asked, frowning. You don't need to ask more about this. Hyuga Chen appeared in front of him, and his right leg was like a whip, sweeping towards Shanks' head. Just as soon as they fought, Shanks felt the pressure of terror, the speed of teleportation, the powerful and terrifying power, and it was invincible. Shanks, who had the confidence to persist for 10 minutes, was suddenly disintegrated at this time. Raised his right arm to cover armament hockey, blocking Hyuga Chen's kick. Crack. The sound of shattering sounded, Shanks' right arm was fractured, and his right arm was temporarily incapacitated. It was very bad for Shanks, who only had one arm, and his combat effectiveness was greatly reduced. Head. Reikulu clenched his fist and wanted to shoot, but he was stopped by Beckman. Beckman, why did you stop me? Reikulu looked at Beckman dissatisfied. The current Hyuga Chen is not serious at all. If you intervene and make Hyuga Chen serious, then Shanks is really dead. Beckman said calmly. The more this time, the more calm it is. This is the most dangerous moment for their Yuhi pirates, and they must calm down. Lajalu looked at Hyuga Chen, and sure enough, he was acting casually, as if he was playing, but even so, his head couldn't hold on anymore. How can he be so strong? He is simply a monster. Reikulu smashed the ice. When you leave with Shanks in a while, I will block Hyuga Chen. Remember, no matter what happens, never look back. Beckman said seriously. Beckman, you. Don't say more, get ready. The Yuhifa pirates can't be wiped out. As long as Shanks doesn't die, the Yuhifa pirates will never disappear. Lachalu, Jesus and the others did not persuade them anymore. In fact, the Yuhi pirates are now the only ones left. Touch. Boom. Bang. Shanks smashed on the ice, cracking the ice as hard as steel, and spraying blood without money. Do you still want to stand up? Hyuga-chan looked at Shanks, who was struggling. For the sake of my crew, I must not fall. Shanks supported himself and stood up reluctantly. I have no sympathy for you. I don't need your sympathy either. Sympathy is the greatest humiliation to me. Shanks raised his head and straightened his body. 8 trigrams breaking the mountain. A laser ray knocked Shanks out, and Shanks, who fell to the ground again, couldn't get up again this time, but it was only a minute later. Just hold on tight for a minute, and Shanks falls. Reiki Road, leave with your head. Beckman shouted. Lakalu said nothing, picked up Shanks and ran quickly into the distance, even though he was fat, but the speed was ranked in the top 3 in Yuhi's pirates. Jesus cloth armed with a gun, while watching the back. Why haven't you left yet? Beckman looked at the cadre standing beside him, wearing a hat with a pirate flag on his head. Leave. I won't leave. You, the co-captain, won't leave. Why should I leave? One more person is left, isn't it just to buy a little more time? Are you going to start escaping? Landfoot light blade. Hyuga-chen smiled faintly, and then kicked out countless light blades with both feet. Be careful, it's coming. Beckman reminded, and then kept dodging, but the light blades were too dense. And it continued for 1 minute continuously, and the cadre who stayed to delay time with Beckman was already dead at this time. And Beckman is still insisting, he wants to delay more time for Lajalu and them, and only in this way can they escape. Chapter 545 Ben Beckman was arrested. I didn't expect you to be quite loyal to your captain. Hyuga-chen looked flatly at Ben Beckman, who was holding a knife and a gun. Husband Kun, Shanks and the others escaped, do you want me to catch up? Hancock came to Chen and asked. No need, just run away. In fact, if they don't meet me upright, I won't do anything to them. Hyuga-chen said softly. Originally Hyuga-chen wasn't interested in dealing with them, but they collided with each other. Even if they don't take a detour and pass by Hyuga-chen, Hyuga-chen will never be idle and ignore them. But they sailed in a straight line with Hyuga-chen, couldn't Hyuga-chen make way for them? So they are tragic. The fate they have now is completely caused by themselves. Even if their navigational track deviates a little, they will not end up like this. If it is the future Shanks, there may not be so many things. The current Shanks is still relatively young and vigorous. And young, energetic, and powerful are not enough, so you can only pay the price. Now this is the price. Although there are not many people in the entire Yuhi Pirates, there are still dozens of people. Now with Ben Beckman and Captain Shanks, there are only 4 remaining members of the Yuhi Pirates, which is extremely miserable. Of course, the Yuhi FA Pirates are not just these people, there are other pirates affiliated to the Yuhi FA Pirates, but those can only be regarded as peripheral forces. Then this guy can't let him run away. Tina made the steel railing and trapped Ben Beckman here. It's also a big credit for catching the vice captain of the Yuhifa Pirates. Taotu said. I don't need any credit. Hyuga-chen said speechlessly, what did he want the credit for? Although the credit can be exchanged for valuable items from the Navy headquarters, but the things from the Navy headquarters are really not as attractive to Hyuga-chen. You can be a marshal. It would be great if Hu-kun became a marshal. Hancock said while holding Hyuga-chen's arm. Think about Sengoku, who is so busy all day, that if I become a naval marshal, aren't you afraid that I won't have time to accompany you? Hyuga-chen squeezed Hancock's cheek with a smile. Then forget it. Hu-kun should not become a marshal. Hancock said quickly. What is the admiral of the Navy? Nothing compares to Chen being able to accompany her. The trapped Ben Beckman's face was blue. How could he be the deputy of the 4 emperors? Why was he not seen at all? There is no way to trap me with an iron fence of this level. Beckman slashed on the iron fence, sparks flying everywhere. Although he cut off an iron fence, he obviously couldn't get out. There is armament hockey. Beckman's face sank. Blade also covered armament hockey, and the sword light was like a large net, covering the steel railing. Beckman's swordsmanship is also good. Although he is not as good as those great swordsmen, he is stronger than the average swordsman. After cutting off the steel railing that trapped him, Beckman fled into the distance. Even though he knew that his chances of escaping were very slim, Beckman was unwilling to let go of a chance. I still want to run away, Charlie snorted softly. Countless trees actually grew on the ice, and the trees wrapped around the fleeing Beckman. This trick, like Mokutan's wood-style World of Trees wall, is annoying to Beckman, and it's annoying that these trees are cut off and regenerated. Monet shot at the same time. The sky was falling with goose feathers and snow, and the temperature was dropping rapidly. Beckman felt that his body was freezing, and the blood flow was not smooth. The movement also began to slowly stiffen, and he wanted to get out, but the trees that kept popping up made him unable to get out at all. Doesn't need Hyuga-chen to make a move, just the girls can make Beckman look good. Dull light. Taotu's dull light hit Beckman accurately, making his movements extremely slow. Thunder from the sky. Robin made a move with his hand, and powerful thunderclouds gathered, and a thunderbolt struck Beckman. Beckman completely fell to the ground, extremely miserable. Several iron nails flew out of Tina's hand, and the nails pierced Beckman's lute bone. Because of the pierced lute bone, Beckman, who fell to the ground, was restricted in movement and completely lost his combat effectiveness. However, this was not over yet. Hyuga-chan directly froze Beckman. Poor Beckman did not know how much torture he suffered. Charlie made a vine, tied the frozen Beckman, and tied the other end to the stern of the boat. "Let's go." Hyuga-chan brought the girls back to the ship. The originally frozen sea instantly melted into seawater, and the warship sailed towards the Navy headquarters. And Beckman, who was frozen in ice, was just dragged in the stern of the boat, which was really pitiful. Kurla opened a huge door in front, and the warship slowly drove into the door. When it came out again, it had already returned to the naval headquarters. "The door fruit is really convenient," Ain said. Kurla smiled. She hadn't been of any help just now, but she was the best at rushing. However, the sudden opening of the space door made the people in the naval headquarters terrified, and even Sengoku, who had been busy with his office, came over to check. Sengoku breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that it was Hyuga-chan's warship. He thought who was going to attack the Navy headquarters. Seeing that Sengoku was going back, Hyuga-chan immediately stopped him. Sengoku frowned. What did Hyuga-chan stop him for? "Sengoku, I'm coming back this time with a big present for you." A huge ice cube was thrown in front of Sengoku by Hyuga-chan. Sengoku's face darkened. "Is this big ice cube a gift you brought me?" But after seeing the person frozen inside, Sengoku frowned again, and then took a closer look. "This is Ben Beckman, the vice captain of the Uhifa pirates." Sengoku recognized him instantly. "That's right, I just met the Uhifa pirates. The guy's boat blocked my way, and then their vice captain was arrested. That guy Shanks ran away with a cadre and a sniper, and the others people are buried in the sea." Sengoku had a look of joy on his face. Of course, he was happy that the four Emperor's pirates had been hit so hard. After being happy, Sengoku began to think about the follow-up. Uhifa, one of the four emperors, suffered such a loss, and the new world would definitely be in chaos. There are also many enemies of the Yuhi pirates, or in other words, as long as there are pirates in this sea, there is no one who will not fight. The enemies of the Yuhi pirates are relatively few. Sengoku was going to send Akainu and the others to the new world to garrison. In fact, there was nothing wrong with the pirates, and Sengoku wanted them to be in chaos. But Sengoku is afraid that their chaos will affect the countries under the world government in the new world. But compared to capturing the emperor's deputy of the four emperors, none of these matters. Sengoku was very happy at this time, and Hyuga-chan finally did a serious business. Now Sengoku is still thinking of giving Hyuga-chan some rewards to encourage him and try to get him to arrest all the four emperors. Chapter 546 Luffy, who is determined to be a pirate. The four emperor pirates Yuhi announced that the deputy captain of the pirates, Ben Beckman, had been arrested, and the news that Yuhi had been beaten by Hyuga-chan has now spread. Almost the whole world knew about this news, and many people who were originally feuding with Yuhi's pirates started to move. Now is when Shanks is the weakest. If they kill Shanks, they can not only take revenge, but also become the four emperors. The emperor on the sea, this temptation is great, and few people can resist this temptation. Mention those who have hatred with Uhifa, even those who have no hatred with Uhifa, have also set their sights on Uhifa's body. This also includes Brother Doflamingo, who covets the position of the fourth emperor very much. If he can get the position of the fourth emperor, then the position of Chiwahai is not worth it. Ha ha ha, Luffy, have you seen it? That guy Shanks was beaten to pieces by Chen Boy, and now he is very embarrassed. I think you should become a navy. Garp held the newspaper and said to Luffy with a big laugh. Ah, is this true? How's Shanks doing now? How can Big Brother Hyuga-chan beat Shanks? Luffy jumped up and grabbed the newspaper. However, after grabbing the newspaper, He realized that he was illiterate. What does 207 say on it? Could it be Grandpa? You lied to me. Garp clenched his fists and punched Luffy sharply. Even after eating the rubber fruit, Luffy, who was not afraid of bludgeoning, was punched and yelled by Garp. Garp's fist is covered with armament hockey, and Luffy eats the rubber fruit to no avail. You stinky boy, you know how to play crazy all day long, you don't know how to learn, and you don't even know a word. It's a shame for me. Garp said angrily. If it is known in the future that his grandson Garp can't read a single character, his face will be disgraced. In the future, you should study hard with the village chief, and if you dare to run around for me, I will break your legs. Garp was so angry that he tapped Luffy on the head again. Luffy clutched the big bag above his head and looked at Garp aggrieved. He wanted to resist, but he was afraid of being beaten again, so he could only honestly agree. The Shanks you admire is really miserable now. The whole pirate group is in pieces. See what happens to him. Are you still a pirate? Garp took the situation of Shanks as a negative teaching material. It would be better if this grandson who was a pirate could change his mind. I believe that Shanks will be fine. I must go out to sea and become a pirate. I am the one who wants to become the Pirate King. Luffy stood up full of heart. Garp was annoyed. What's so good about being a pirate? The last One Piece is dead, and you can't even take care of your own family after death. You still want to be One Piece. I just want to be a pirate, I just want to be a pirate. Garp is so angry. This bastard, he taught Luffy to become a navy all day, but this guy thinks about going out to sea and being a pirate all day. It's great to be a navy, to run after pirates. I just want to be a pirate. Luffy looked stubborn. Becoming a pirate is Luffy's childhood dream, and he will never give up because of Garp's few words. Cap, I think Luffy wants to be a pirate, so let him be. The village chief of Windmill Village came over. Grandpa, the village chief, it's really nice of you to support me as a pirate. Luffy looked at the village chief with a big smile on his face. Humph, as long as you become a pirate, don't harm our small village. The village chief snorted coldly. How come? Luffy scratched his head. In fact, the village chief doesn't have much disgust towards pirates, including other villagers in Windmill Village, who have no dislike towards pirates. The main reason is that this is Garp's hometown. Generally, pirates don't dare to come here to find fault, and they don't look down on this small village. Windmill Village has not been attacked by pirates, so there is not much disgust for pirates. What do you know, old man? Don't talk nonsense here. Garp couldn't understand the village chief, stood up and roared at him. You, an irresponsible grandfather who is often not here, is not qualified to discipline his grandson. Saying that, the village chief took a stick and tapped Garp on the head. And Garp was knocked, and he could only bear it. Luffy was also thanked by the village chief for taking care of him in Windmill Village. Garp was actually very grateful to the village chief. So even if he was beaten, Garp didn't dare to say anything. Luffy, do you have to go out to sea to become a pirate? Garp looked down at Luffy, his powerful aura oppressing him. Luffy raised his head with all his strength, his eyes filled with determination. I must go out to sea to become a pirate, not just a pirate, I want to find a treasure and become the Pirate King. Luffy said very firmly. If you become a pirate, then I will meet you, but I will not be merciful. Luffy still looked at Garp firmly. Garp's aura blew out. Luffy, your personality is really like your father. Garp sat down in frustration. Dad, do I have a father? Hearing Luffy's foolish words, Garp laughed angrily. You don't have an old man, do you think you popped out of a crack in the stone? Garp punched Luffy hard. How could this kid be so stupid? With his silly appearance, even if he becomes a pirate, Garp is also very worried. Even with this IQ, he can go out to sea and become a pirate. Get up quickly and train with me. Don't you want to be a pirate? Without a strong body, it is difficult for you to even go out to sea. It is not easy to be a pirate. Garp caught Luffy and taught him personally. Whether Luffy becomes a pirate or becomes a navy in the future, what cannot change is that Luffy is his grandson. Therefore, Garp also did his best to guide him. Now Luffy's age is the most suitable time to lay the foundation. Garp prepares to take a month-long vacation with Sengoku to accompany Luffy attentively. Grandpa, you haven't told me yet, how is Shanks doing now? Has he been caught by Big Brother Hyuga-chen? Is there something wrong? Luffy said while grabbing Garp's hand. Why do you ask so many questions? Shanks has not been arrested, but he is in a very bad condition now. You hurry up and train me. Garp roared loudly. I'm still in the mood to care about Shanks, so you better prepare me for training. Luffy's devil training has also begun, and Garp will not indulge Luffy just because he is his grandson. On the contrary, Garp was more strict with Luffy, and he complained about Luffy's training every day, but although Luffy complained, he kept trying his best to persevere. Garp looked at it and nodded. If you don't work hard, you won't have much success whether you become a navy or a pirate. Now Garp doesn't want Luffy to become a navy or a pirate in the future, let him choose in the future. As long as he doesn't regret it then, Garp doesn't want to interfere. Chapter 547 You are not an opponent. You look really embarrassed now. Hawkeye looked at Shanks, who was covered in scars. I didn't expect to meet you. Are you here to learn from me? I can't learn from you now. Shanks looked at Hawkeye and smiled bitterly. Reikulu and Jesus Bu looked at Hawkeye vigilantly at this time. Hawkeye was one of the 7 warriors under the king at this time. When Shanks was not injured, they didn't care. But now Shanks was hit hard by Hyuga-chen, and even they were injured. At this time, they had to defend against Hawkeye. Reikulu, Jesus, don't worry, I understand Hawkeye, he's not a man who takes advantage of others. Shanks said. Hawkeye is indeed not someone who takes advantage of people's danger, and his inner pride will never allow him to do things that take advantage of people's danger. But Lachalu and Jesus Bu still dare not relax. Vigilance is necessary at this time. I came to find you, not to discuss with you, and now you are not worthy of learning with me. Hawkeye said lightly. Shanks was not angry. What Hawkeye said was the truth. Now he is seriously injured. It is estimated that a lieutenant general of the Navy headquarters will be able to take him down. I want to tell you that there are many pirate groups in the New World who are looking for you, as well as Doflamingo, who is under the king's Chihuahua, and he is also looking for you now. Hawkeye said. Shanks nodded. These people are looking for him, the purpose of which is self-evident, and it must be his life. Thank you, Hawkeye. You don't need to thank me. I hope you don't die. I don't want to have one less opponent, otherwise I would be very lonely. Hawkeye said lightly. Ha ha ha, I'm not so easy to die. After I'm healed, I'll settle the matter in front of me, and I'll come to you to learn from each other. Shanks laughed heartily. I want to ask you something. Hawkeye looked at Shanks with sharp eyes. Shanks was stunned for a while, then said, Ask. As long as I know and can tell you, I will tell you. I want to know, how strong is Hyuga-chen? Hawkeye exudes a powerful momentum, which is also full of fighting intent. Jesus Bu raised his spear and aimed it at Hawkeye, who exuded a powerful momentum. Shanks asked Jesus to put the gun down and clenched his fists tightly against the pane. Do you want to challenge him? Shanks asked, looking at Hawkeye full of fighting intent. Hawkeye nodded. He really wanted to challenge Hyuga-chen. It is rumored that Hyuga-chen killed the Golden Lion with one sword, then his swordsmanship must be very strong. Hawkeye's swordsmanship has reached a bottleneck, so he wants to fight Hyuga-Tatsu. Although I have watched the battle between Hyuga-Tatsu and Whitebeard, I have also seen the battle between Hyuga-Tatsu and Count Yuhi. But Hawkeye still doesn't know how strong Hyuga-chen is, and he will never know without experiencing it himself. Look at me now, don't you understand how strong he is? Shanks said with a wry smile. Hawkeye looked at the current Shanks. At this time Shanks was indeed miserable. He hasn't used all his strength yet, and I've already done so you should not go to Hyuga-chen, you are not an opponent. Shanks advised. Hawkeye's swordsmanship Shanks is confirmed, but facing Hyuga-chen, Hawkeye is still too far behind. Shanks had a great hatred with Hyuga-chen at this time, and his crewmates all died because of Hyuga-chen. Now if someone goes to trouble with Hyuga-chen, of course Shanks will be very happy, but he and Hawkeye are friends, and Hawkeye is still here to remind him now. So Shanks won't deceive Hawkeye either. When Shanks bluntly said that he was not an opponent, Hawkeye was not angry, he knew that what Shanks said was the truth. Hawkeye also knows that if he really fights, he is definitely not Shanks' opponent. Now that Shanks is facing Hyuga-chen like this, let alone him. Others I may not be as good as him, but when it comes to swordsmanship, I don't think I'm weaker than anyone else. Hawkeye also has his pride and self-confidence. Perhaps the other powers add up, and Hawkeye believes that he is indeed not an opponent, but if it is only a competition of swordsmanship skills, Hawkeye is recognized as the world's largest swordsman. Shanks shook his head. Even in swordsmanship alone, Shanks doesn't think Hawkeye is an opponent. Hyuga-chen is much stronger than Hawkeye in terms of speed and strength. And thinking about the sword that the white-haired woman slashed out on the Hyuga-chen before, even he could slash away, which even Hawkeye couldn't do. Perhaps Hawkeye's proud swordsmanship is inferior to even the women on the Hyuga-chen ship. Shanks thought about it for a while, but still didn't say it directly. If he told Hawkeye directly that your swordsmanship is not as good as that of a woman, it goes without saying that Hawkeye would definitely turn his back on him. This is already humiliating. Shanks has a high emotional intelligence, of course he wouldn't say such things. After chatting with Hawkeye for a while, Hawkeye drove his western coffin boat away. "Head, where are we going now?" Reikulu asked. "It's not too far from the Chambord Islands now, let's go to the Chambord Islands first," Shanks said after thinking for a while. At this time, their situation is very dangerous, and it seems that they need to help the former deputy captain. It doesn't seem right to go there. The Chambord Islands are really messy, Jesus said with a frown. There are many people there, and there are many pirates among them. They are easy to be found there. Now the most important thing is to find a doctor to cure Shanks' injury first. As long as Shanks is healed, they don't have to be afraid. To visit a person, he will help us, and now to ask for help, it is still very shameful to think about it. Shanks shook his head with a wry smile. Now I can only go to Pluto Rayleigh for help, and let him help send their group to Twin Points to find Crocus, the ship doctor who used to be the Roger Pirates. Only Crocus can quickly recover from his injury. Shanks' decision, although Lachalu and Jesus Cloth felt inappropriate, but they did not object to anything. Since the head is going to Chambord Archipelago to find someone for help, it must be intentional, they just need to follow. The group dressed up, and then took a boat to the Chambord Islands, without any publicity along the way. Even in order to hide his identity, Lachalu deliberately found a very tight clothes, shrinking the fat on his body and changing his body shape. Otherwise, his physique would be a bit dazzling. Never would he have thought that the current 4 Emperor pirates would fall to the current state of embarrassment. But there is no way, now they can't attract the attention of the Navy, otherwise Sengoku will definitely not miss this opportunity, and will definitely find a way to arrest them. It can't attract the attention of the pirates, otherwise it will definitely attract countless pirates to come to encircle and suppress, and there are many pirates who want Shanks, the 4 Emperors, to die. Chapter 548 Meet Yuhi again. Hades Rayleigh. The 3 of Shanks sneaked and came to Aunt Xiao's ripping off bar. "You 3 guys, sneaky, do you want to come to my shop to steal something?" Aunt Xiao looked at the 3 of them with her arms in her arms. "Shush tilde Aunt Xiao is me, I am Shanks." Shanks lifted Kabuto's hat and revealed his face. Aunt Xiao nodded, and then disregarded the objections of the customers in the store and drove them all out. Of course, there were not many customers in her store. What Aunt Xiao does is a one-shot deal. Basically, people who come here once will never come again, because this place is really a rip-off, expensive to die, but the proprietress is still very powerful. "I didn't expect you to be so embarrassed." Aunt Xiao looked at Shanks with her hands on her face. Her arm was broken, and there were more fractures on her body. I don't know how you met Hyuga Chen. Aunt Xiao asked curiously. Shanks was silent when he heard the words. Why did he meet Hyuga Chen? Maybe it was because of his youthful spirit. But if you walk around after seeing Hyuga Chen, it's not a question of shame, it's also a question of dignity. So Shanks successfully took the Uhifa pirates to the bottom of the sea, and all but the 3 of them were annihilated. By the way, Aunt Xiao, do you know how Beckman is doing now? Has anything happened to him? Shanks asked anxiously. He was not killed, but I heard that it was very tragic. He was imprisoned by Admiral Sengoku and sent to the undersea prison to advance into the city. Hearing that Beckman wasn't dead, Shanks breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he wasn't dead, even if he was imprisoned in Push City, there was no chance of him being rescued. Are you going to push the city to rescue your companions? Don't be stupid. The director of the big prison, Magellan, is not easy to mess with. Now you only have to be killed in seconds. Aunt Xiao reminded. Don't worry, I won't be selfish in the future. Shanks said. This time, it has taught him a lesson. Where's the co-captain? He went out and should be back soon. Shanks, let me tell you, we have retired, don't bring us in again. Aunt Xiao said. Shanks nodded and then said, I'm just asking for a favor now and send me to Kuroka's for treatment. In fact, Shanks can go by himself, but he is afraid that after accidentally exposing it, he will involve Kuroka's, who has chosen to retire. And with Rayleigh's means, they can definitely be sent to Twin Points safely. There's no problem with this. After thinking about it, Aunt Xiao nodded. Just as he was about to say something, the door was suddenly pushed open, and Shanks immediately put on his hat and covered his face. Sorry, now here, how is it you? Aunt Xiao was shocked when she looked at the person who came. Come here for a drink, isn't it welcome to see the proprietress like this? The Admiral came to drink, how dare we not welcome it? Aunt Xiao looked at Hyuga Chen with a solemn expression. Could it be that Shanks has been discovered? You seem to be very nervous, we are just here to drink. Hyuga Chen sat down with the girls. I want to drink wine. Sugar tugged at Hyuga Chen's arm. Eat your grapes. What kind of wine are you drinking so little? Hyuga Chen said that the grapes blocked Sugar's mouth. I don't care, I'll drink it. Sugar tapped on the table. Nami, give me some money, I'll buy it and drink it, and I'll buy it for you. Nami refused without hesitation, wanting to ask for money in her hands, thinking too much. Nami was holding the gold coin box, for fear that Sugar would come and grab it. Although Aunt Xiao didn't know why Hyuga-chan appeared here, but Hyuga-chan came in, she couldn't drive Hyuga-chan out. Prepare some drinks, then wink at Shanks and the others, telling them to leave quickly. Shanks clenched his fist, and the pain from the fracture still did not affect Shanks' tightly clenched fist. Not long ago, he had a happy banquet with his mates on the ship, but after meeting Hyuga-chan, there were only 2 mates left. Head, calm down, let's leave first. Lajalu pressed Shanks' shoulders. Are you Shanks? Hyuga-chan glanced at him, then asked lightly. Shanks, footsteps froze as he walked out. Aunt Xiao, who was preparing drinks, also froze suddenly, and also the underworld king Rayleigh, who had just stepped in, frowned. Jesus Cloth was holding the gun on his body, ready to strike at any moment. The atmosphere suddenly became rigid. I didn't expect to come here for a drink, but I can still meet you. It seems that we have a good relationship. Hyuga-chan chuckled lightly. In fact, Hyuga-chan really didn't expect that he would meet Shanks when he came here. After handing Ben Beckman to Sengoku, Hyuga-chan left with the girls, wandered the sea again, and then came to the Chambord Islands. After spending half a day in the Chambord Islands, I saw the famous rip-off bar. Hyuga-chan originally wanted to meet Raleigh, the king of the underworld. But I didn't expect to meet Shanks. I didn't expect to see you so soon. Shanks said in a deep voice. Oops, what's going on? The atmosphere doesn't seem right. Silba's Riley came in. Rayleigh looked at Shanks, winked at him, and told him to leave first. Since Shanks came here, he would not let Shanks have anything to do. Shanks hesitated, then left directly. Hades Rayleigh's body was tense, guarding against Hyuga Chen's shot. However, Hyuga-chan did not take action, but let Shanks leave. Such a move made Pluto Rayleigh stay for a while, not knowing what Hyuga-chan was thinking. "You are the right wrist of One Piece, Hades Rayleigh." Rayleigh was shocked. "There are not many people who can know him now. I didn't expect that anyone can recognize him now." Riley and Aunt Xiao glanced at each other, knowing in their hearts that there was trouble this time. "I didn't expect General Hyuga to recognize me. It's an honor for the old man. Why don't you have a drink?" Hyuga-chan looked at Aunt Xiao. Aunt Xiao calmly brought the wine, and when Sugar's eyes lit up, she grabbed the wine and held it in her arms. Seeing that Hyuga-chan just asked him a question and sat there drinking, Rayleigh was a little confused about the situation. But it's better not to do it. Rayleigh has heard of Hyuga-chan's impressive record, so he doesn't want to do it with Hyuga-chan. Because Rayleigh knew very well that if he really fought with Hyuga-chan, he would definitely lose. Aunt Xiao was sitting at the bar, and she didn't know what Hyuga-chan was thinking. She had collected information for many years, so it can be said that Hyuga-chan should be the person she couldn't see through the most. "The wine here doesn't taste that good." Hancock was a little picky. "Although the drinks here are very expensive, the drinks here are just ordinary drinks, not much more than other bars except for the price." "I think it's delicious," Sugar said, squinting. Rayleigh looked at the people sitting at the table tasting wine, walked to the bar, asked Aunt Xiao to give him a glass of beer, and drank it silently, not knowing what he was thinking. Except for the laughter from Hyuga-chan and the others, Riley and Aunt Xiao were a little silent. Chapter 549 Feared Draconian. "Wow, the price of this wine is too expensive. This is a black shop," Nami yelled. She only saw the price list at this time. The price was too exaggerated. It was about 10 times the price in other stores. Nami wanted to smash the table. "Nami, don't make a fuss, it's not that we have no money," Sugar said comfortably while drinking the wine made from grapes. "Humph, even if we have money, we can't be taken advantage of. We can't pay this money." Nami was very concerned. "Little sister, I'll treat you to a bar this time. You don't need to pay," Aunt Xiao suddenly interjected. "Then why are you embarrassed? Let's order some more high-end wines. Do you have any treasures and take them out?" Hyuga-chan said. Aunt Xiao was expressionless. This was the first time she had lost money in business, but forget it, as long as she could send them away. "Please wait a moment, I'll be here soon," after Aunt Xiao said, she looked at Raleigh, the Hades who was drinking beer. "What do you think I'm doing?" Riley looked at Aunt Xiao in a daze. "If you don't go to move the wine, it's hard for me to come and move," Aunt Xiao instructed Riley. Riley helplessly rested the glass, and then went to the back to carry the wine. Pity his famous Hades Riley, actually going to carry the wine. But Riley didn't care about that either. "This old man is really One Piece's vice captain, Pluto Rayleigh?" Tautu asked curiously. Looking at the powerful aura hidden in his body, it shouldn't be wrong. He should be the Pluto Rayleigh. Ordinary people don't have such a powerful aura, Xia Li said. He is indeed the Pluto Rayleigh. I saw his bounty at the beginning, although it has changed a bit now, Alvia said. Soon Pluto Rayleigh came out with the wine, and then personally delivered it to Hyuga-chan and the others. It's really our honor to have Rayleigh the Hades serve, Hyuga-chan said with a smile. It's my honor to serve the Admiral. Riley put the wine on the table. These are the fine wines that Aunt Xiao kept, and even he couldn't take a sip. Now, giving it to others, Riley felt a little distressed. This wine tastes good, it should be some years old. Hyuga-chan nodded with satisfaction. These wines tasted better than the tribute wine given to the Tianlong people. After drinking, Hyuga-chan picked up the already drunk Sugar, and said, Thank you for the hospitality this time. We will leave, and hope to meet again next time. Seeing that Hyuga-chan took the girls to leave directly, Aunt Xiao and Lei Li frowned. Did they just leave? Hyuga Chen didn't catch him, so he just left, and Shanks was let go before, which Rayleigh couldn't understand. As the vice captain of One Piece, Rayleigh is also good at reading people, but he is the only one who can't understand Hyuga-chan. He seems to be a god in the game world. He looks very handsome. If I were 30 years younger, I would definitely go after him. Aunt Xiao said while holding her chin. That would also make people look up to you. Riley glanced at her lightly. Whether he can see him or not is his business, whether I chase him or not is another matter. Aunt Xiao gave Lei Li a faint look. But it's better if he doesn't arrest you. Don't you want to go to the big underwater prison to eat in prison? If you go in, no one will save you. Yeah, Rayleigh nodded. He didn't want to fight Hyuga Chen, and he couldn't even fight Brother Chen. Are they from Tianlong? Looking at the person in front of him who was wearing a bubble hood and holding a person in his hand, Bai Xing pulled Hyuga Chen's hand. Yes, he is indeed a Tianlong person, but don't pay attention to him. Hyuga Chen held sugar in one hand and Shirahoshi's small hand in the other. You guys, why don't you kneel when you see Lord Tianlong? The dog-legged man who followed Tianlong asked Hyuga-chan. Because the Tianlong people passed by, everyone knelt down and saluted, so Hyuga-chan and the others were of course very conspicuous. To make us kneel, what are you? Hancock's face turned cold, and Conqueror's Haki was released. The man fell to the ground in an instant, blood flowed out of the 7 orifices, and there was no breath at all. Hancock had control of Conqueror's Haki, all concentrated on him, so the guy was unlucky enough to die. Humph! How dare you ask us to kneel, such a big dog. The people who were kneeling on the ground and bowing secretly raised their heads one after another, glanced at Hyuga Chen and the others, and gave them a moment of silence in their hearts. He actually dared to offend the Tianlong people. It seemed that he didn't know how to write the word, dead. Head, Hyuga Chen seems to have offended the Tianlong people. I wonder if he will be unlucky. Lajalu, who was hiding in the dark, looked at this scene with a schadenfreude smile. Hyuga Chen is an admiral, so it shouldn't matter. Shanks shook his head. My lord, I think it's better to capture them as slaves and torture them to death. The dogleg standing beside the Tianlong person suggested, with anger on his face, as if he had a good relationship with the person who died before. However, he didn't see that the Tianlong people's legs were shaking at this time. The words of this bastard made him come back to his senses, and then he drew his gun and shot him to death without hesitation. This made everyone in a daze, but it didn't feel wrong. The Tianlong people were so cruel, maybe that person's words offended the Tianlong people. It turned out to be Lord Hyuga Chen. The Tianlong man squeezed out an ugly smile and smiled reluctantly at Hyuga Chen. This made everyone stunned all of a sudden. What's the situation? Is the Tianlong person in front of you fake? Head, what's going on with this 953? Could it be that Hyuga Chen is also a Tianlong person? Or a Tianlong person with a higher status? Lakilu asked with an ugly face. Shanks shook his head, not knowing. In fact, if Chiwahai was here, they would definitely not be surprised by this scene, because they knew very well that Hyuga-chan had killed the Tianlong people. When Sengoku held a roundtable meeting, they learned that Hyuga-chan had killed a celestial dragon, and he was fine. However, Chiwahai did not dare to talk nonsense, otherwise the world government would not let them go. And the Tianlong man in front of him was the one who saw that scene. What's more, Lord Yimu has already ordered that no one should provoke Hyuga Chen by committing death, otherwise, even the body will not be collected. Therefore, this Tianlong person was very afraid. In his eyes, Hyuga Chen was the most cruel person, for fear that Hyuga Chen would kill him. You are very winking, save your life. Hyuga Chen glanced at him indifferently. The Tianlong Ren immediately breathed a sigh of relief and asked cautiously, then if it's all right, the younger one will step back first. Listening to the Tianlong people's subordinate-like tone, everyone else wondered if their ears were wrong. But they didn't dare to talk nonsense. They still knelt there, even buried their heads deeper. This is a character that even Tianlong people are afraid of. They are afraid of being noticed, and then die inexplicably. Chapter 558 Years later. Conflict with Big Mom. Looking at this guy's appearance, it's really funny, but this guy is quite sensible. Hancock was very satisfied with the dog-legged demeanor of the Tianlong people. Tianlongren lowered his head and felt very anxious. What if he didn't let him go and killed him? If I had known earlier, I would not come to the Chambord Islands, I would just be honest with my family. This heavenly dragon man has already decided in his heart that as long as he can leave intact, he will stay at home in the future and never come out. Since you're so sensible, I'm not a cruel person, you should get out first. Hyuga Chen waved his hand and told him to get out. If this guy dared to be arrogant, Hyuga Chen would kill him easily, but now instead of being arrogant, he is still very respectful, and Hyuga Chen will not do anything to him. Of course, I don't want to see this guy, because this guy looks really sorry for human beings, looking at the pollution eyes. If the Tianlong people were granted amnesty, they immediately ran into the distance, for fear that Hyuga Chen would suddenly regret it. Why are all the Tianlong people so ugly, and there is no one who looks good? Hyuga Chen said speechlessly. Maybe it's a genetic problem. Alvia covered her mouth and smiled. It is indeed very possible, let's go. Go to other islands for a turn. Hyuga Chen took the girls away. Hyuga Chen and the others had left for a long time. The people who were kneeling on the ground dared to raise their heads and then got up. Among them were some pirates. However, when facing the Tianlong people, even the pirates will be afraid in their hearts, and provoking the Tianlong people is equivalent to provoking the generals. Who is that person, who can make the Tianlong people so humble? Be quiet, don't talk too much about this, or the Tianlong people will not let us go. That person seems to be Admiral Hyuga Chen. But the Admiral of the Navy can't make the Tianlong people so respectful, so humble yourself. The status of the Tianlong people is higher than that of the Admiral. What do you care about? Maybe Admiral Hyuga Chen's identity is not simple. Xiaoyao, what do you think? Riley asked Aunt Xiao, who had just seen the scene through the window. How can I see? Of course, I see with my eyes and ask some useless nonsense. Aunt Xiao gave Riley a Byakugan. Riley was speechless, he was still joking at this time. Is this the time to be joking? You're no longer a pirate. You've retired now. Now you can focus on your old age. You don't have to worry about what to do. Are you in a hurry? Aunt Xiao said angrily. Yes, anyway, it has nothing to do with me. Rayleigh drank a sip of wine and said freely. After a while, Shanks walked in with Lakealoo and Jesus Cloth. Captain Rayleigh, long time no see. Shanks greeted Rayleigh. I haven't seen you come to see me before, but now if you're in trouble, you'll find me, an old man. Rayleigh, who was angry at Aunt Xiao, threw his fire on Shanks' head. Shanks smiled awkwardly, thinking that what he did was really unkind. Let me send you to Kuroka's for treatment, right? I can help you with this matter, but you have to be careful, there are countless people looking for you now, Riley reminded. Shanks used to be a tiger, a vicious tiger, but now it's just a sick cat at most, so there are countless people who come to get in trouble. I know this. Shanks nodded, and he didn't plan to show up until the injury did not recover. Just be clear, don't fight with Hyuga Chen in the future. Shanks fell silent when he heard the words. The death of the crew member could not be ignored. Seeing Shanks being silent, Riley didn't say anything. Shanks is no longer a child, and he doesn't need to remind him to do things, as long as he doesn't regret it. Follow me. Rayleigh took Shanks, Lucky Road and Jesus into a small boat and headed for Twin Points. Hyuga Chen and the others spent some time in the bubble island of the Chambord archipelago, then flew over the Holy Land Marijoa at the top of the Yuhi soil continent, and then entered the New World. This is the second half of the Great Waterway. Nami was lying on the bow, watching the New World where the situation changed and the storm began. The weather here changes really fast. Nami said in surprise. Let's have a good time here. The New World is dangerous to others, but to Hyuga-chen and the others, it is no different from the back garden. Time passed slowly, and after Yuhi's injuries healed, he came forward to kill many pirates with dissent. The originally unstable position of the four emperors stabilized again, and Yuhifa once again summoned the crew to develop forces and prepare to rescue Ben Beckman. It's just that this is not a simple matter. Ben Beckman is imprisoned on the 6th floor, and Yuhi did not dare to attack the advanced city directly, so he could only wait for the opportunity. Doflamingo began to study artificial devil fruits, and now he has hooked up with the four emperors guy. Whitebeard still sailed on the sea with his crew, and did not do anything major, and the ant was also nesting in Cake Island. However, in comparison, Auntie is very restless, and there are countless countries destroyed, but the Navy's control over the New World is very weak, so there is no way to take her. Recently, Auntie has a lot of peace, because Auntie doesn't want to be conquered by the Admiral, so she also restrained. Although there are countless new pirates going to sea, the situation on the entire sea seems to have calmed down. This is not very related to Hyuga-chen and the others. They are sailing in the New World, and no one dares to stop them. With Hyuga-chen's strength, unless someone is dying, no one dares to stop him. 8 years passed slowly. Luffy also drove a small boat to sea, and the plot officially began. At this time, Hyuga-chen was still in the New World, and he also had a conflict with the ant, one of the four emperors. "You ugly old woman, get the hell out of here, believe it or not I'll kill you." Hyuga-chen scolded Charlotte Lingling's nose unceremoniously. Auntie's face was dark, and anger had burned her sanity. "Hyuga-chen, don't go too far. Don't think I'll be afraid of you." The ant roared angrily. "Dare to stand in my way, I think you don't want to live anymore." Hyuga-chen looked at this guy coldly. Reason why they clashed was actually exactly the same as Yuhi's case, the two ships were on the same route. Of course Hyuga-chen wouldn't let go, and Charlotte Lingling, whether it was for the sake of her face or the little juju in her heart, wouldn't let it go. "Husband-kun, quickly sink this ugly guy to the bottom of the sea." Hancock looked disgusted. The ant looks just like an old witch, and at first glance, it makes people feel unfavorable. Hyuga-chen, I know you are strong, but you are also a devil fruit person, and you are also powerless in the face of the sea." The ant snorted coldly, and then injected her soul into the sea. A big wave rose. This is the big wave with consciousness after the ant has injected her soul, and it is also the confidence that ant dares to face Hyuga-chen. Chapter 551 Soul Fruit. Hyuga-chen looked at the huge wave that was set off with a look of disdain, and just wanted to fight him just because of this. "It's so naive. Is this how you face me?" Hyuga-chen looked at Charlotte Lingling indifferently. "That's right, this time I'll let you bury you in the sea and let the whole world know the name of my Charlotte Lingling." This is also the reason why Charlotte Lingling came over on purpose. That's right, she did it on purpose, because Hyuga-chen was famous, so she took Hyuga-chen as a stepping stone. "I don't know who gave you the courage, but even if you don't come to me, I won't let you go." Hyuga-chen sneered. The ant's soul fruit, Hyuga-chen, really wanted to get it, so after seeing her pirate ship, Hyuga-chen came over on purpose. Originally Hyuga-chen thought that ant would run away, but she didn't expect that ant's head was very iron, and she rushed straight towards him. Therefore, the conflict between the two parties was entirely their intention. Hyuga-chen wanted the soul and soul fruit, and the ant wanted to defeat Hyuga-chen to enhance her prestige because she could control the sea. Hyoten Ice Style Aurora Beam. The big waves created by the ant were instantly frozen. "Humph, don't you think I know you have ice? Son Prometheus," Big Mom shouted. Prometheus, the son of Hermes, was infused with her soul in the flames by Big Mom, and used flames to burn ice cubes. Hyuga-chen smiled disdainfully. His Hyoten Ice Style is not easy to melt. If the ant had this idea, then she would have miscalculated. Seeing the unmeltable ice, the ant's face was very ugly. "Mom, what should I do now?" Baron Dandan was a little anxious. In fact, He was against Ant's provocation of Hyuga-chen, but Ant's decision was not something he could decide. Even the dessert 4 stars don't dare to disobey Auntie's decision. It's not yet the dessert 3 stars, because Charlotte Snag has not been defeated and has not been removed from the list. Stop talking nonsense, or I'll eat you. The aunt roared angrily. Baron Eggy fell silent immediately. Mom, do you want to call the ministers? Pokemus asked. There are not many cadres on the ship now, and the sons and daughters of other aunts are not on board now. Do you think I can't beat him alone? Auntie asked fiercely. Baron Eggy immediately pulled Pokemus. If he said more, he would probably be eaten by Auntie in one bite. As long as the aunt is angry, even her own son and daughter will be eaten, not to mention the outsiders like them. Everyone in the BIGMOM Pirates knows how cruel the aunt is. Thunder. As soon as Robin raised his hand, the thunder struck instantly. Aunt couldn't dodge at all, she was too big, the speed of lightning was too fast, and this lightning had a tracking effect, so she couldn't dodge at all. However, Auntie's skin is rough and fleshy, and Robin's attack can't cause much damage to Auntie at all. I didn't expect it to be so resistant. I'll try to increase the current. Just when Robin was about to continue to attack, a lightning bolt suddenly attacked her. This is a thunder and lightning attack from a black cloud, and it is also one of the Hormies made by Aunt Zeus. You actually used lightning to attack me. Robin didn't dodge, and was hit by lightning, but it didn't have the slightest effect. Instead, it was supplementing Robin's strength. These two things don't seem to be killed by ordinary attacks. I wonder if they can resist Gudodama, Truth-Seeking Ball. Several dark spheres appeared behind Hyuga-chan. These small balls look ordinary, but they contain the power to destroy everything. Gudodama, Truth-Seeking Ball, hits the thundercloud Zeus and the sun Prometheus, and then the two Hormies vanish in an instant. Gudodama, Truth-Seeking Ball, can erase everything, unless you have the power of 6 paths to touch Gudodama, Truth-Seeking Ball. How is that possible? How can I easily destroy the Hormies I made? The aunt was angry and lost her mind. Clenched his fist and hit Hyuga-chen. Is this old woman so brainless? Tautu pulled out Jinpyra, slashed the aunt back with a knife, and the sharp blade cut a deep hole in her body. She wasn't cut in half, her body is so tough. Tautu was very surprised. Just now, Auntie didn't use armament hockey, and even so, she was able to block Momotu's slash. She shouldn't be a normal human, is she? It's definitely not a normal human being. Look at her size. Can an ordinary person have such a big body? Look at her ugly appearance. Can an ordinary person look so ugly? Hyuga-chen said. How dare you say I'm ugly? I'm going to kill you. Auntie ignored the wound on her body and looked at Hyuga-chen with Yuhi's eyes. It doesn't seem to have completely lost his mind. Hyuga-chen looked at her lightly. Armament hockey wrapped around her hands. The huge ant stomped her feet on the huge ship, and charged towards Hyuga-chen like a missile. It seems that you are unrepentant. You know that you are not your opponent, yet you dare to rush up. Hyuga-chen smiled coldly. The soul shock that Auntie uses secretly is ineffective against Hyuga-chen. Hyuga-chen, who possesses ultimate yin escape, can easily defend against Auntie's sneak attack using soul power. I didn't expect that you're not stupid, you'd even sneak attack. Hyuga-chen indifferently looked at the ant who was attacking recklessly, but secretly attacked. The sneak attack failed, but the wounded ant had a trace of blood hanging from the corner of her mouth, and her body continued to fly towards Hyuga-chan. The huge palm was bigger than Hyuga-chan's body, and was patted down towards Hyuga-chan. This body is really big. Hyuga-chan complained. An armored Valkyrie appeared behind him, and Susanoo's huge arms grabbed her. Big, but Susanoo behind Hyuga-chen is bigger than her. You better go back to me. Control Susanoo to throw her back, and a fruit appeared in Susanoo's hand. This fruit is the soul fruit. The soul fruit is in hand, let's go. Hyuga-chen ignored the ant and drove the boat towards the distance. Wo and who-kun killed this ugly old woman? Hancock asked. Forget it. Killing her makes my hands dirty. Yeah, that old woman didn't deserve to be killed by husband Kun at all. Hancock nodded. The ant who fell on the pirate ship stood up abruptly, and she found that she had lost the ability of the soul fruit. How could this be? Where's my soul fruit? Auntie looked at the warship that was heading into the distance. Her face was extremely hideous, and Baron Eggy and Pokemus were shivering in fright. Give me back the soul fruit. The ant stepped on the sea water and chased after the warship. I actually chased after her, and Khalifa beat her back. Hyuga Chen said to Khalifa. Khalifa pushed up her glasses. Shock barrier. With a barrier with protruding spikes, the high-speed movement knocked Auntie back, and the protruding spikes stabbed her skin. The ant could only step on the sea water, watching the warship gradually disappear, roaring furiously. Chapter 552 See Restaurant Bharati. That Charlotte Lingling is really ugly. I really don't know why she still has the courage to live. If she was her concubine, she would have been killed by a headbutt, Hancock said. Yes, it looks really scary. Nami Tilda patted her chest and said. She also didn't understand why she could look so ugly, and she couldn't even say she looked ugly anymore, she was already an old witch. Don't talk about this, it doesn't matter if people are ugly, let's go to the East China Sea. Hyuga-chan said. Return to the first half of the Great Waterway through Fishman Island, and stop at Fishman Island for a while, and let Bai Xing communicate with his parents. Perhaps because of the changes brought by Hyuga Chen, Princess Otoheim is not dead now. What are you going to do in the East China Sea? Although the East China Sea is beautiful, it's not fun at all. Sha Tang said depressedly. Nami and Nuochigao are not happy anymore. Why is Donghai not fun? They were born in Donghai, and when they go to Donghai, they can go back to their hometown, Kokoja village. Looking at the glaring eyes of Nami and Nuochi, Sugar is not afraid at all. She has already eaten the fruit of the fun, and with her strong strength, there are few people on board who can afford sugar. Because of the childlike fruit I ate at the age of 15, the sugar still looks like a 15-year-old. Are you two trying to be turned into toys by me? Sha Tang threatened. Humph, you think we are afraid that you will fail. If you dare to turn us into toys, believe it or not, Chen will be the first to clean you up. Nami snorted, not afraid of sugar. It's time to teach the sugar a lesson. Relying on the fruit of childishness, he is lawless. Robin put down the book in his hand and said with a smile. What did you say, Robin? Sugar used the Navy 6 style shave and appeared in front of Robin in an instant, and then grabbed it towards Robin with her small hand. Robin smiled lightly, his body turned into a thunderbolt and disappeared, and the sugar couldn't even touch the corner of Robin's clothes. Damn, why am I not so fast? Sugar stomped her feet angrily. Sugar said that only I can't catch up. There is nothing that I can't beat, but she just can't catch up with Robin. You wait, when you go to bed, I will turn you into a toy and torture you for a few days. Sugar said angrily. Let's talk when you meet me. Robin chuckled, sitting on the bow and reading the history book with great interest. Hyuga Chen came over and glanced at the book, the dense text. Hyuga Chen said that if I read it, I could fall asleep. Robin, you can't learn much from reading this, I'll give you a real pose book. Hyuga Chen took out a book and handed it to Robin. Robin glanced curiously, and suddenly got angry, picked up the book and threw it at Khalifa. This Khalifa likes to watch it, show her. Robin gave Chen an angry look. Chen helplessly shrugged, this is really a book that can learn a lot of postures, and can make people feel better. Khalifa took the book that Robin threw over, flipped through it, and looked at the various pictures and texts on it, without the slightest shyness. I've seen this one. Does it look good? Can you show it to me? Shirahoshi raised his head and asked Khalifa while biting his fingers. Baixing, a child like you is not suitable for reading this kind of book. Khalifa put away the little yellow book and patted Baixing's little head with her hand. Oh, Bai Xing nodded obediently, but she was very curious about what book it was. Warship soon came to Upside Down Mountain, and Hyuga Chen was the first time to pass Upside Down Hill. The upside-down mountain is also very strange. If Newton saw this mountain, I don't know if he would die of anger. Entering the four seas from the Great Waterway, you must first go up against the current, and then go down against the current, because the ocean currents in the four seas are too strong, causing the water currents in the four seas to overcome the gravitational force and flow upwards. If a ship with insufficient horsepower cannot return to the four seas from the Great Channel. Nami looked very excited as the ship entered the four seas, because her hometown was in the East China Sea, where she lived when she was a child. I heard that there is a sea restaurant Bharati in the East China Sea. It has unique food. Do we want to try it? Alvia asked. Bharati, a restaurant on the sea. You can go and have a look. Hyuga Chen nodded, and he didn't know what time it was, but Hyuga Chen knew that Luffy should have gone to sea by now. Although the sea restaurant Bharati is erratic, it is very easy for Hyuga Chen to find it. The warship headed towards the sea restaurant Bharati. Half an hour later, the warship approached the sea restaurant Bharati. Nami was very surprised and did not understand how Hyuga Chen found the sea restaurant. It's a navy ship. Yuhi Jep looked at the slowly approaching ships outside. But Yuhi Jep didn't care. No matter who came here, it was a guest. The pirates who came to eat at the restaurant at sea also saw the warship, but they didn't care, and didn't take the navy seriously at all. Hyuga Chen brought a group of beauties into the boat. The pirates took a breath, not recognizing Hyuga Chen, but stunned by the beauties. Humph! Peach Rabbit snorted lightly, and the fierce aura made them bow their heads instantly. Wow! There are so many beautiful ladies. Sanji walked out and saw all the beauties. His heart was pounding, and his eyes were about to pop out. Just when Sanji was about to walk over, Yuhi kicked Zep out, kicked Sanji in the past, and dragged Sanji back to the kitchen. Take good care of him, don't let him cause me trouble. Yuhi Jep walked out of the kitchen after saying that. What do you want? Yuhi-footed Zep came over nervously. Yuhi Jep, who had been in the Great Channel before, was also a man of knowledge, and of course he recognized Hyuga Chen, the Admiral of the Navy. Serve all your specialties. Hyuga Chen looked at the recipe and said. Okay, please wait for a while. Yuhi Jep immediately walked to the kitchen, and did not forget to instruct the service staff on the boat, let them be optimistic about the group of pirates, and not let them make trouble. Now that the Admiral is on the ship, if they are courting death, it will be fine if they die, but what if they are implicated? Back in the kitchen, Sanji immediately yelled at him. Stinky old man, why are you beating me? Stop talking nonsense, I'm here to save you. If you get close, maybe it's a corpse now. Yuhi Jep said rudely. Cut tilde, Sanji cut with disdain. Do you know who that man was just now? It's not just a little white face, a hateful little white face, there are so many women accompanying. Sanji looked envious and jealous. Shut up for me, or I won't collect your body if you die. Yuhi's foot Zapu covered Sanji's mouth. Poor Sanji, who was being held by Yuhi's feet Jep all the time, almost died. Chapter 553 Luffy is coming. Hawkeye. Seeing that Sanji was about to lose his breath, Yuhi's feet Zapu let him go. Sanji took a deep breath and almost died. Stinky old man, don't you want to kill me? Sanji roared angrily. Humph, I'm afraid of your death. The man who just came is the strongest man in the world, the Admiral of the Navy headquarters. It doesn't matter if you die, but don't implicate us people. Yuhi Jep said with a cold snort. You're lying to me, that little white face, he will be the strongest man in the world. In my opinion, he is also a little white face who eats soft rice. Sanji has a lot of opinions on Hyuga Chen. There are so many beautiful beauties surrounding him, isn't he just a little more handsome? What an amazing thing. A sword chi suddenly tore open the kitchen door, the sword chi cut a deep scar on Sanji's face, and blood slowly dripped onto the ground. Sanji swallowed sharply, his legs were shaking at this time, and his head almost moved. HMPH. Pay attention to what you say, or the next time will be when your head moves. Tautu took the knife back and said lightly. Guest don't be angry, I will teach him a lesson. Yuhi Jep said quickly. What are you doing for me standing there? Hurry up and work for me, otherwise I'll see how I'll take care of you. Yuhi's Futsapu scolded Sanji bitterly. Because of the reason that he almost died, Sanji was honest and hurriedly dealt with the wound and went to work. He didn't want to move his head. Hey, brother Hyuga-chan, I didn't expect to see you here, Luffy said with a look of surprise. Hearing that, Hyuga-chan turned his head to look at the door, and saw Luffy and Lukai King Zoro walk in. Luffy, I didn't expect there are people you know here. Zoro looked at Luffy in surprise. Brother Hyuga-chan is in the Navy. And I heard from my grandfather that he is very high-ranking, like some kind of general. Luffy said indifferently. However, Zoro can't ignore it. Luffy, this idiot, doesn't know the meaning of the general, doesn't Zoro know it? Hearing that it was the admiral, Sauron immediately became vigilant. They are pirates now. When they met the admiral just after becoming pirates, Sauron expressed his despair. I didn't expect Luffy to go out to sea, did your grandpa know? Hyuga-chan asked with a smile on his face. Luffy shook his head. He didn't tell his grandfather about his trip to the sea. Luffy knew that his grandfather didn't want him to be a pirate. If his grandfather finds out, Luffy is afraid that his leg will be broken. I didn't expect to meet big brother Hyuga-chan. You wouldn't catch me, would you? I won't just grab it. I'm very strong right now. Luffy gestured with his fists, with fighting intent in his eyes. Forget it. I don't want to catch you yet. Hyuga-chan waved his hand. For him, eating now is the most important thing. And Hyuga-chan knew what Luffy was thinking. He wanted to learn from him, but Hyuga-chan wasn't interested. Luffy was disappointed when he heard this. They always heard that brother Hyuga-chan is very strong, so Luffy wants to learn from him. This is also because the newborn calf is not afraid of tigers. Those famous pirates will run away after seeing Hyuga-chan, and Luffy, a pirate who has not yet been rewarded, actually wants to learn from him. Luffy sat down, picked up the menu, and ordered a whole bunch of meat. Hurry up, I'm going to starve to death, I want to eat meat. Luffy shouted, knocking on the table. Zoro looked at Luffy's things, then touched his empty pants kabuto, and then glanced at Luffy. He didn't look like he was rich. Luffy, do you have any money on you? Zoro asked in a low voice. Money. Luffy gave Zoro a puzzled look, then touched his kabuto, then grinned and said, I don't have any money. Zoro wanted to beat him, but he dared to laugh without money. Did you come here for the overlord meal? And Luffy's voice did not hide. The service staff of the restaurant on the sea all looked at them with bad eyes. Now they already think that Luffy and the two are here to eat overlord meal. How can we eat without money? Why don't you have anything? Zoro roared angrily. He suspected that Luffy had been pitted. Except for a broken ship, Luffy actually has nothing. Although Zoro doesn't care about money, they must eat. Brother Hyuga-chan, can you lend me some money? Luffy looked at Hyuga-chan quickly, with a look of help in his eyes. I'll treat you to this meal, you can eat it at ease. Hyuga-chan said with a smile. Luffy is Garp's grandson, and he has a good sense of Luffy, so he doesn't mind paying him for a meal. There was a smile on Luffy's face, but he was not polite. Zoro covered his face. As a pirate, he actually wanted to invite the Admiral of the Navy to treat him. I always felt a little ashamed. Since Luffy and Zoro are in the restaurant on the sea, I wonder if Hawkeye will come here. Hyuga-chan thought while eating. However, seeing Ah-jin who came to beg for food, Hyuga-chan also confirmed that Hawkeye should come. However, after chasing down ordinary little pirates and chasing them all the way to the East China Sea, how boring is Hawkeye, and how unlucky is the East China Sea overlord, Crick. Sure enough, after a while Crick came too, and for his poor sake, Yuhi Jep gave him a meal. But after he was full, Crick immediately turned his face. When he was eating, he said that he would give money after eating, but now not only will he not give money, but he will also capture the restaurant on the sea. Why is this person so hateful? Luffy looked angry. Although he was a pirate, Luffy was a pirate with a sense of justice, not a despicable and shameless pirate like Crick. But in comparison, Crick is the real pirate, and the pirates are so cruel. A dark green sword energy slammed open the boat that Crick was docked outside. Seeing the figure in the distance, the originally arrogant Crick showed fear on his face. Speaking of this guy Crick, he is really unlucky. I don't know if he ate the unfortunate fruit and actually met Chihuahua Eagle Eye. That's Hawkeye, he actually appeared in the East China Sea. Tina looked stunned. What's so strange, we're not in the East China Sea right now. Eagle Eyes, the world's greatest swordsman. Yuhi Zappu looked solemn. There is also the strongest man in the world. As a result, another world's greatest swordsman came. What day is this, and why are big people appearing one by one? As the world's greatest swordsman, Zoro clenched his fists and was very excited. He came out to practice to become the world's greatest swordsman. Hawkeye's boat came slowly. Looking at the warship parked outside, he knew very well that it was Hyuga-chen's warship. Because Hyuga-chen's warship is the most luxurious of all warships, it is very easy to identify, and the Eagle Eye can recognize it at a glance. I didn't expect Hyuga-chen to be here too, so that's just right. Hawkeye held the black knife Yi at the back. For a long time, he wanted to compete with Hyuga-chen in swordsmanship, but he never found a chance, and now he finally met. Chapter 554 Hawkeye's Challenge. The world's greatest swordsman, Hawkeye, I want to challenge you. Looking at Hawkeye who was approaching, Zoro drew out his knife and looked at Hawkeye solemnly. The eagle eyes that had been staring at Hyuga-chen were stunned for a moment, and then his eyes turned to Zoro. Looking at Zoro's firm eyes, his dedication to kendo, he seemed to see himself when he was a child. However, Hawkeye would not pay attention to him, because Zoro was so weak that he was not in the mood to pay attention at all. Damn, you actually came after him. Crick looked terrified. It was this man who destroyed his 50 ships, and the other party seemed to be playing with him, chasing him all the time. How to do? Do you really want to die, or do you kneel down and beg for mercy? But looking at the indifference in Hawkeye's eyes, Crick knew that even if he knelt down and begged for mercy, he would not let himself go. So Crick's eyes were stern. Even if he really wanted to die, he would have to pull a few people on the back, killing a few people and earning money. Crick looked around, and then set his eyes on Hyuga-chen, because Hyuga-chen was too handsome and hated by men, and Crick hated Hyuga-chen. Kill your little white face first. Crick said viciously. This guy has a good eye, and he picked the strongest person here at once, and his eyes are also vicious. Looking at Crick, who was rushing towards him, Hyuga-chen was speechless. Why do you like to call him a little white face? Don't you allow me to be handsome if you are ugly. Looking for death. Landfoot light blade. The high compression light blade that was kicked out directly cut Crick in half, and Hyuga-chen would not be merciful to this kind of guy who didn't know whether to live or die. The girls also felt very relieved when they saw Crick who was cut in half. If Hyuga-chen hadn't shot too fast, the girls would have done it. Sanji, who was standing in the distance, swallowed his saliva. He didn't expect this guy who he thought was a little white face to be so strong. But Sanji still couldn't believe that he was the strongest man in the world, but he didn't dare to underestimate Hyuga-chen. Crick Sanji is very clear that he is the overlord in the East China Sea, and he was solved by one move. From this, we can see his strength and can definitely kill him in seconds. Hawkeye, please accept my challenge. Zoro didn't even look at Crick, who was cut in half, and kept staring at Hawkeye. Defeating Hawkeye is Zoro's goal. Only by defeating him can he become the world's #1 swordsman. This is his agreement with Guina, and he will keep going with her efforts. Okay, I accept your challenge. Hawkeye looked at the persistent Zoro and nodded. As a swordsman, in the face of challenges, he would generally not refuse. Of course, it was mainly because the Eagle Eye saw that Sauron felt that he was a good seedling. I didn't expect you to be a three-knife. Hawkeye took down the knife hanging from his neck and looked at Sauron lightly. And Zoro was very angry in his heart and fought him with a knife. Is he looking down on him? This is a humiliation to him. Are you looking down on me? It was no wonder that Sauron could feel better when he was finally able to duel with the world's largest swordsman, but the opponent humiliated him with a knife. Now you are only worthy of me to use this knife, Hawkeye said lightly. Then let you taste my power. Zorro clenched the handle of the knife tightly, and then moved like a cunning rabbit and charged towards Hawkeye, the blade flashing with cold light. However, in the face of Zorro's three-knife flow, Hawkeye only used a small knife to completely block his three-knife flow. Soren's pupils shrank suddenly. This is actually happening. Although Zorro knew very well that he was no match for the world's largest swordsman at all, and now he challenged Hawkeye just to test the gap between him and the world's largest swordsman. Now it seems that the gap between them is really big, and it is quite outrageous. Hawkeye didn't care about Soren's attack at all, he just blocked Soren's attack with a knife. But Sauron was not discouraged or gave up. Even if the gap was big, he would not admit defeat. Looking at Sauron, who was stabbed in the heart by a knife, but did not flinch, Hawkeye did have a touch of admiration in his eyes. A swordsman can be weak, but he must never back down. Only with an indomitable spirit can he continue to progress. Luffy looked at Zorro and clenched his fists tightly, but he didn't make a move. It wasn't that Luffy was afraid, but that Luffy didn't want to hurt Zorro's dignity. Why, aren't you afraid of death? Hawkeye asked. Zorro laughed miserably. If you fail, you will die happily. I approve of you. Hawkeye pulled out the supreme sword Heidaoe behind him. Although Sauron was weak, his spirit was worth pulling out this sword by himself. Sauron used the three swords stream profound truth 3,000 worlds, but he still lost to Hawkeye in the end. The difference between Sauron and Hawkeye is too far. Come on. Sauron opened his hands and faced Hawkeye. A back injury is a disgrace to swordsmanship. Hawkeye slashed without hesitation. Soren's blood spilled, and his body fell to the ground. Sauron. Luffy jumped over immediately and helped Sauron up. Although the knife was very heavy, Zorro couldn't die, but Super Xiaoqiang could heal quickly no matter how much he was injured. Captain, until I defeat Hawkeye to become the world's greatest swordsman, I will not lose to any swordsman. Zorro said with tears in his eyes. Yeah, I trust you, because you are my Luffy's crew. Luffy said with a tear. Eagle Eye looked at Hyuga Chen at this time. Heidaoe raised his head, and said solemnly, I want to challenge you. Why do you challenge Fu-kun? Hancock said bluntly. Hawkeye just stared at Hyuga Chen. He had wanted to have a swordsmanship duel with Sun 493 Shangchen for a long time. Although he knows that he may not be Hyuga-chan's opponent, maybe he will lose the title of the world's greatest swordsman in this battle, or even lose his life. But Hawkeye still won't back down. As a swordsman, he will never back down, and he can't make progress if he backs down. Swordsmen must face life and death calmly. Husband Kun, he actually dares to challenge you beyond his ability. Let his concubine teach him a lesson. Hancock said angrily. In Hancock's view, Hawkeye is not qualified to challenge his beloved husband Kun at all. Come on, I also want to see the swordsmanship of the world's largest swordsman. Momotaro held the hilt of the sword and looked at Shang-Chen. It was boring, so I'll agree to your challenge. Hyuga Chen thought about it and agreed to Hawkeye's challenge. Hawkeye breathed a sigh of relief. What he feared most was that Hyuga Chen ignored him at all. Let's use this sea area as a battlefield. Hyuga Chen walked towards the frozen sea area, and then took out a long sword full of Senra's ghosts. This is the first generation of ghosts that Hyuga Chen snatched from the 5 old stars. After it got into Hyuga Chen's hands, this knife has been moldy. It seems that this knife is also in the Taopao 5 old stars, and it is also moldy, but it just continues to mold in another place. But today, Hyuga Chen will show the edge of the first generation of ghosts. Chapter 555 Battle with Eagle Eye. This knife. Hawkeye stared at the first generation Gush in Chen's hands, frowning. This sword is one of the first generation Onishi, the same supreme sword. Hyuga Chen said flatly. Hawkeye nodded, holding the knife in both hands and stepping on the ice with a cautious look on his face. He did not dare to be careless when facing Hyuga-chen. For this battle, Hawkeye has even given up his life and death. He wants to make his swordsmanship a step further by fighting Hyuga-chen. Fu-kun, come on, beat him, let him know how good you are. Hancock shouted loudly. Hyuga-chen smiled at Hancock in the distance. Defeating Hawkeye was not a big deal at all. He was going to defeat Hawkeye easily. Hawkeye was not affected. The blade raised, and then rushed towards Hyuga-chen. The speed was so fast that most of the people here could not see clearly. Is this the real strength of the world's greatest swordsman? Zoro clenched his fists with a look of unwillingness. He tried his best before, but he couldn't even force out his strength and was easily defeated. Tang! The sound of the collision of the swords reverberated continuously in this area. Hyuga-chen held the sword in one hand, blocking the eagle eye with the sword in both hands. Zoro clenched his fists. One was the world's greatest swordsman, the goal he wanted to surpass, and the other was the Admiral of the Navy, the strongest man in the world. The battle between them can teach him a lot, and Sauron must watch it carefully. Watching this battle also broadened his horizons, and also allowed him to see the battles of the masters who really stood at the top of the world and understand their power. Hawkeye, don't you have a meal? Why don't you have a meal first and then fight with me, or your weak attack will make me very bored? Hyuga-chen said, blocking Hawkeye's slash with his hand. Hawkeye didn't speak. He had already used all of his strength at this time. Such a heavy slash did not put any pressure on Hyuga-chen. It's really strong, like a monster. Hawkeye stepped back to prevent Hyuga-chen from fighting back. Now Hawkeye knows that in terms of strength, he can never beat Hyuga-chen, so he can only see the speed. Speed is not just the speed of movement, but also the speed of reaction. Come again. Hawkeye rushed out like lightning. His body instantly came to Hyuga-chen's back, and then he slashed down with a swift knife. Black Blade Knight covered armament Haki, and observation Haki locked Hyuga-chen tightly. Your speed seems to be a little slow. Is it really the reason why you didn't eat? Hyuga-chen appeared behind Hawkeye. Hawkeye's pupils shrank suddenly, until the blade slashed empty, and Hawkeye realized that what he had cut was an afterimage, and the real Hyuga-chen had already appeared behind him. As the world's largest swordsman, this reaction speed is of course top-notch. At the moment of Zongkong, he forcibly twisted his body and put the black sword in front of him. The first generation of Gui Toru, with the spirit of Sen Luo, slashed on the black knife with eagle eyes in front of him. The powerful force was transmitted through the black knife knight, and the eagle eye felt a shock in the tiger's mouth. The blood slowly dripped, and the whole body flew out like a missile with a super launcher installed. The body slid on the ice surface and slipped out a few hundred meters in an instant. Hawkeye inserted the black knife into the ice surface at night, and it took a lot of hard work to stop the body. Sauron was stunned, the Hawkeye who had just stabbed him easily, but now he was blown away by an easy sword. He wasn't dreaming. Sure enough, Hyuga-chen is very strong, Luffy said with a smile. As expected, he is the strongest man in the world. He can easily suppress Hawkeye with his swordsmanship. I'm afraid this man will have another name in the future. Yuhi Jep said silently. This time, the title of the greatest swordsman in the Hawkeye world is about to change hands. Hawkeye stood up, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and looked at Hyuga-chen with a very solemn expression. You are really strong, you have no weaknesses at all, but I will not be afraid of you. Hawkeye's sharp eyes were like swords, staring at Hyuga-chen. The trembling hands gripped the hilt of the sword tightly and slashed towards Hyuga-chen in the distance. The green sword energy ripped apart the ice surface, and the dazzling light made one's eyes narrow. Not bad sword energy, but it's just not bad. Stroking. The powerful vacuum sword pressure shattered the green sword energy, and then continued towards Hawkeye. Hawkeye did not evade. The swordsman's intuition told him that he was locked and could not avoid this sword at all. Drink! Hawkeye shouted loudly, and Hei Daoye placed horizontally in front of him, with one hand on the back of the blade, defending against this vacuum slash. And the body was also torn open by the slash, but Hawkeye didn't care at all, still staring at Hyuga-chen tightly. You are not my opponent, do you want to continue? If you continue, I can't guarantee your life or death. In other words, you will most likely be hacked to death by me. Hawkeye did not speak, and once again pointed the knife up at Hyuga-chen, which had already proved his determination. In order to fight him, Hawkeye had already put his life and death aside, and he didn't care about life and death at all. Very good. You made me appreciate you a little bit. Chen chuckled lightly, and then the figure disappeared from Hawkeye's sight. Hawkeye became vigilant. He knew that Hyuga-chen was fast, and now he could only guard against the sudden attack, and the strong pressure was pressing in his heart. But Hawkeye's face is very excited. What he wants is this kind of pressure, how to grow without pressure, and with enough pressure, can he burst into higher potential. Boom! Hawkeye's body fell on the ice, with a scar on his back. Hyuga-chen was standing behind him, holding the knife in one hand. Hawkeye felt very humiliated. Just like Zoro said, the scar on the back is the shame of the swordsman. Although your courage is commendable, in front of me, your strength is completely vulnerable. Hyuga-chen looked at Hawkeye, who fell to the ground, and said unceremoniously. He didn't attack with the blade just now, but with the back of the blade, otherwise Hawkeye would have died now. Hawkeye slowly got up, with anger in his eyes. This anger is anger towards himself. Come on. Hawkeye, must defeat you in swordsmanship. Hawkeye didn't care about the wound at all. In order to become a great swordsman, he had suffered too many injuries. The scar behind him, apart from humiliation, cannot affect his combat effectiveness at all. To be a swordsman, one must have a strong will. Without a strong will, one is not qualified to reach the peak of kendo. In the face of Hawkeye's attack like a storm, Hyuga-chen casually swung his knife to block Hawkeye's attack. Although he only used the basics of kendo, the basics of kendo were the most important. Moreover, under the speed and strength of Hyuga-chen, even if it is only basic, it is still powerful and terrifying. No matter what kind of attack Hawkeye makes, it is easily blocked by Hyuga-chen, as if he is playing with Hawkeye. Chapter 556 Hawkeye Defeat. This man is so powerful. Fortunately, he didn't care about me before. Sanji touched his head, and it's good that he is still on his neck. Looking at this scene, Zoro felt a little confused. He wanted to surpass Hawkeye, and he wanted to become the world's greatest swordsman. However, the current world's largest swordsman actually fell behind in the swordsmanship showdown with others, so what should he do with his goal? Damn, aren't you strong, Hawkeye? Don't give me a loss. Zoro roared loudly. Shut up, you green algae head, believe it or not I shot you. Baby 5 pointed the gun at him and said with a displeased face. Let Hawkeye not lose, wouldn't that make Lord Chen lose? How can Baby 5 allow? Under the threat of the gun, Zoro closed his mouth angrily. He was not afraid of death, but felt that being shot to death was too aggrieved. If he was beheading Sauron during a duel with human swordsmanship, he would definitely not regret it, but being beaten to death when he was seriously wounded would be unacceptable to Sauron. Hawkeye is obviously not Hukun's opponent. If he has to find an embarrassing challenge to Hukun, he deserves it, Hancock said. What is the world's 400th great swordsman? Sha Tang, are the most powerful. As long as I touch him, I can kill him in seconds. Sha Tang said with a small fist. Hawkeye was sweating, and every time he swung his sword, he used the strength of his whole body, and his physical strength was passing by rapidly. And Hyuga-chen, who was attacked, blocked all of Hawkeye's attacks with a comfortable look. He was obviously on the defensive side, but he was very relaxed. I'll let you eat some food and come back again. If you don't listen, you can't bear it now, Chen said with a smile on his face. Hawkeye's will is firm, and he is not affected by Chen's words. If it is someone else, he may be angry with Chen's words. However, Hawkeye was actually very angry in his heart. He used all his strength to attack and was easily blocked, which made him feel very uncomfortable. Your swordsmanship has been honed to perfection. Every swing is the pinnacle of skill, but sometimes skill can't change the gap between hard conditions. Chen said lightly. Whether it is the foundation of kendo or the skills of kendo, Hawkeye is all at the top. But the difference in strength between the two was too great. Hawkeye's sword swing was fast, but in Chen's eyes, it was very slow. In terms of strength, to tell the truth, in Chen's feeling, Hawkeye really seems to have not eaten. Is there a feeling of powerlessness in my heart? Chen asked, looking at Hawkeye. That's right, Hawkeye does feel powerless now. Chen is like a big mountain whose top cannot be seen. No matter how he climbs, he can't see the top. He could feel that compared to before the battle, his swordsmanship had indeed improved, but this improvement was like taking a step on a mountain, and it was completely useless. Moreover, human potential is limited. It is not that it can be squeezed infinitely, that is, the Kiba paste is still squeezed out. Actually, you shouldn't challenge me. Chen shook his head and said. Perhaps the ultimate goal of Hawkeye is to improve. Fighting against the strong can indeed improve, but fighting against people who can crush you, you will lose hope. Hawkeye's sword swing slowed down. He stepped back a few steps and stared at Chen tightly, his brows furrowed. You want to shake my will. It's not that I am shaking your will, but you are shaking your own will. Chen said lightly. My will is to become the most powerful swordsman, and I will never waver. Hawkeye left everything in his heart. He didn't think about anything now, he just wanted to fight Hyuga Chen. You look better now than before. Chen blocked Hawkeye's knife again. But you keep attacking, so I can't help but fight back. Chen Jie blocked Hawkeye's knife, and then chopped it down toward Hawkeye's head. Looking at the first-generation Gedo with a black aura, Hawkeye was stunned for a moment. Just now, he seemed to see himself being beheaded with a knife. In the end, Hawkeye bit his tongue and escaped from the illusion, and instinct drove him to raise the black knife in his hand above his head. Chong! Bang! Hawkeye was half knelt on the ground, his knees smashed the ice as hard as iron, and although his knees did not break, there were cracks on the bones. The first generation of ghosts is only a hair away from his forehead, and he can feel the edge of the first generation of ghosts. Hawkeye had a cold sweat on his forehead. If it wasn't for his quick reaction, if it wasn't for him getting out of the illusion in time, he might have been split in half by a knife now. There is a great terror between life and death. Even Hawkeye, who is as determined as iron and is not afraid of life and death, feels a sense of fear at this time, and his back is already wet with cold sweat. Because of the wound on the back and the cold sweat that came out, Hawkeye felt a burning pain. But Hawkeye couldn't care about the pain anymore. Biting Kiba's knife to block Chen, if he couldn't stop it, he could only shed blood on the spot. However, the blade above his head is like a big mountain. No matter what he does, he still can't let the blade move away, nor does it fall even a bit. Hawkeye thought for a while, then rolled his body and left the shadow of the first generation of ghosts, but the blade still did not fall. Hawkeye's face is very ugly. Is this showing mercy? No, it's an insult to him. Why? Hawkeye raised his head, a rare expression of anger on a face that was almost unchanged from eternal. In Hawkeye's view, this is disrespect to him. Why? You're too embarrassed to ask me why. It's not that you're weak, and I'm not even interested in killing you. Hearing that Hawkeye was even more angry, this was a blatant humiliation. As a swordsman, the most important thing is his own face, the eagle eye who feels that his face is lost, and the endless anger in his own heart. He cuts the ultimate knife towards Chen. Chen smiled lightly, cut out a jet black sword energy at Hawkeye, and then walked towards Balati, the restaurant on the sea, without even looking at Hawkeye. Hawkeye was blasted out by the sword energy, blood spilled into the air, and Hawkeye's body slid across the ice. Falling to the ground, this time Hawkeye didn't have the slightest strength to get up, and there was a hideous wound on his body that continued from his left arm to his abdomen. Fortunately, this was frozen by Chen, and the strong cold made his wound condense with frost, which stopped the frantically flowing blood. Otherwise, with such a big wound, blood alone can bleed him to death. After all, Hawkeye is only a normal human being, and he can't live without blood. Falling to the ground, Eagle Eye looked at the sky with a confused expression. He had already lost. Although he had expected it, he did not expect that he would lose so badly. From the beginning to the end, he didn't even cut off a piece of Kakuzu of Hyuga-chen, and when facing Hyuga-chen, the feeling of powerlessness made him feel confused. Is the gap between us really that big? Hawkeye couldn't accept it. At this time, he didn't even notice that a crack had opened in his tenacious heart. Chapter 557 Johnny and Joseph. Congratulations, Husband Kun, for defeating the world's largest swordsman. Hawkeye, you will become the world's largest swordsman in the future, Husband Kun. Hancock came over and hugged Chen's arm. Isn't it normal for me to beat him? And the world's largest swordsman is just a false name, I don't care at all. Chen kissed Hancock's bright and jade-like forehead. People are just proud of their Husband Kun, and my concubine will serve my Husband Kun well tonight. Hancock looked at Chen with eyes like autumn water. Looking at the charming Hancock, Chen's eyes moved. At this time, the charming Hancock really fascinated people. Then I'll wait. Chen is looking forward to Hancock's service tonight. Anyway, among his women, Hancock has the most variety. Boss, settle the bill. Chen walked over to Yuhi's Futsapu and asked him to settle the bill. No, it's my honor that General Hyuga can come to my restaurant to eat, why do I need money? Yuhi's Futjep said with a smile, he dared not accept Hyuga Chen's money. I'm not someone who eats the overlord meal. Leaving some Bailey behind, he said hello to Luffy, and then walked towards the warship with the girls. General Hyuga, the money is too much. Yuhi Futsep shouted, and Bailey was given 10 meals at his place. The food you have here is good, I am very satisfied, if you have more, consider it as a tip. Chen said with a wave of his hand. He didn't care about Bailycan at all, he had too many Baileys to use up anyway. Nami glared at Chen when she heard the words, if you have too much Bailey, you can give it to me. Why give to others? Chen is very speechless to Nami, why does Nami still love money so much? Brother Hyuga-chan, I will meet you later, I must challenge you, don't refuse. Luffy shouted from behind. Hyuga-chen heard the words and waved his hand, let's talk about it after we meet again later. The confused Zoro stood up and looked firmly at Hyuga-chen's back. Hawkeye was defeated, Sauron was a little confused at this time, but at this time he had firmed his goal. Defeat Hawkeye first, and then challenge Hyuga-chen. After defeating Hyuga-chen, he is the world's greatest swordsman. Soon Chen took the girls on the warship, and then left for Nami's hometown of Kokoja village. Nami and the others were going to see their hometown. Brother, what's the matter with you? Who hurt you? We will avenge you. Hearing that, Zoro turned his head and saw Johnny and Joseph who had just come here. These two are the 4 strongest bosses in the pirate world, Johnny the swordsman and Joseph, the god of swords. Alongside them are the Axe King Monka, who smashed Garp with an axe, and the King of the Sea who bit off Yuhi's arm. Well, the above is all bullshit. Both of them are bounty hunters, they know Zoro, and they are very loyal. Originally they should have appeared long ago, but perhaps because of the butterfly effect, they only came to the sea restaurant now. Brother, tell me, who made you so badly injured, and I must kill him. Joseph was very angry. It's the one lying there. Luffy pointed at Hawkeye who was lying on the ice in the distance. It's that bastard, we'll go up and kill him. Johnny and Joseph rushed up. Zoro looked anxious at the two of them, and quickly got up to catch up, and Luffy followed. It was you who injured our eldest brother. Johnny drew his knife and pointed at Hawkeye who was lying on the ground bleeding profusely. You don't need to talk nonsense with him, just chop this guy to death with one knife. Joseph slashed down with a violent knife, and just as he was about to hit Hawkeye, Sauron came to block Joseph's knife. If Sauron hadn't arrived in time, perhaps with Hawkeye's current state, he might have been hacked to death by the two of them. If Hawkeye is really killed, these two can really be conferred gods. Brother, why? Johnny looked at Zoro in confusion. I will defeat him myself, and I will personally take revenge in the future. Zoro said firmly. Since Big Brother Zoro said it, let's let this guy go. For the sake of Big Brother Zoro this time, I'll let you go. Johnny and Joseph put away their knives. Hawkeye was let go by these two legendary strong men and saved a small life. Fortunately, Sauron interceded, otherwise one of the seven seas would die in this weakest sea. And this is also the peak moment of Johnny and Joseph. With this alone, the two of them can blow for a lifetime. This is almost killing Hawkeye. Hawkeye did not have the slightest expression, a look of confusion. Looking at Hawkeye's appearance, Zoro became angry, and a big-eared melon seed hit Hawkeye's face. Just like you are still the #1 swordsman in the world. I don't think you can even compare to some kendo students. Zoro said unceremoniously. The distance, footed Jeppo opened his mouth wide. Did he see it wrong? That green-haired boy dared to slap Hawkeye in the face. Although Hawkeye is now defeated, he is no longer the world's largest swordsman, but his power is beyond doubt. This kid is very daring. We will collect his body for a while, which can be regarded as admiration for him. Jep said. Soren's miraculous slap woke Hawkeye, who was in confusion. You won't lose this time and you'll be stunned. I've always dreamed of surpassing you, you bastard. Zoro scolded loudly. The person that Big Brother Zoro dreams of surpassing, shouldn't this person be the world's largest swordsman, Hawkeye? Johnny and Joseph looked at each other, a little confused. The two of them seemed a little arrogant just now. I wonder if Hawkeye will hold revenge. You don't understand that feeling of powerlessness. Hawkeye looked at Sauron and said lightly. Then how do you know that when I was fighting with you, I felt powerless, and I didn't give up to defeat you? What qualifications do you have to be decadent? Zoro was even more angry. Hearing that, Hawkeye's eyes brightened, and the eyes that had lost their vigor became sharp again. That's right, after this defeat, he can still fight next time. Isn't that how he came here when he was a child? It seems that in the years of becoming the world's #1 swordsman, he has lost the spirit that he used to move forward bravely, and now Hawkeye has regained the spirit of the year. He completely let go of the title of the world's greatest swordsman. Perhaps for him, this title is the source of restricting his progress. I will wait for you to challenge me again, provided you don't die. Hawkeye picked up the black knife next to him. Johnny and Joseph immediately became vigilant whether he would shoot them both. However, Hawkeye ignored them, gave Zoro a deep look, and then left in his boat. Hawkeye is also going to practice his practice. He always thought he was standing at the peak of kendo, so he was a little slack. Now Hyuga-chen let him know that there are days outside the sky, and there are people outside people. Speed and strength, but only in terms of kendo skills. Hawkeye is far behind Hyuga-chen, because he didn't let Hyuga-chen take it seriously at all. He didn't even have the qualifications. Now, Hawkeye wants to get the qualifications that Hyuga-chen faces, and then go to defeat him. Chapter 558. Are you qualified to bribe me? Finally back home again, Nami looked at the village of Kokoja in the distance. It has been 8 years since she left her hometown, and Nami misses her hometown very much, as do Nakigao and Bellmeyer. Soon the warship was docked on the shore, and Chen took the girls off the ship. This small village seems to be more desolate than before. Chen looked at the small village and felt that it was not as bad as when he came here 8 years ago. After stepping into the village, I found that the people here are all disheveled, with sad expressions on their faces. What's the situation? Why is everyone living such a bad life? Even though they were poor before, it wasn't like this. Bellmeyer said with a frown. Is it Bermel? A village policeman came over and asked. Are you Ajien? Why is the village like this now? Bellmeyer asked. Alas. The fierce-looking Ajien sighed, and then said, it's not the damn Colonel Mouse. We have to pay the protection fee every month. Chen also understood the reason why they were so miserable without the dragon. It turned out to be the Mouse Colonel. A mere colonel is so over the top. Nami frowned, and then looked at Chen with dissatisfaction. Look at what I'm doing, Colonel Mouse is not mine. Chen shrugged and said. The Navy is really bad. There is no good thing, it's worse than pirates. Nami said angrily. No way, the Navy also wants to make extra money. You are such a money fan, you have no right to say that there are many pirates who have been robbed by you over the years. Chen spread his hands. Collecting protection fees is relatively normal for the Navy of the Four Seas, because the Navy of the Four Seas has less salaries, of course they have to plan their own money. Generally, as long as they are not excessive, the Navy headquarters only turn a blind eye, not to mention that the Navy headquarters is concerned with the Great Waterway, and the Four Seas are not the focus of their attention. Where's the mouse, Colonel? I'm going to kill him, Belmer roared. It's not far from the Navy's 16th Division. Ah Jian said. Belmer was aggressive and dragged Chen towards the warship, so they left in a hurry before they settled in the village of Kokoja. Jian, we are saved this time, said a villager looking at Jian. Jian nodded, but they knew that Hyuga Chen was a general, and with a general here, a colonel would definitely not be able to make waves. It's fortunate that Belmer is back, otherwise we don't know how to live. An old man sighed, their village really couldn't afford to pay the protection fee. Damn, it's really terrifying, don't your Navy executives care about these scumbags? Burma was very dissatisfied. How do I know this? How many times have you seen me back to the Navy headquarters? Belmer was speechless, and after 8 years on the ship, it seemed that Chen would never spend more than a week in the Navy headquarters. I really don't know why you, a person who doesn't do anything, can become a general of the Navy headquarters, I don't understand. Nami shook her head. Of course my strength is strong. Chen chuckled, in fact Sengoku wanted him not to go back. He has a command that does not move Chen, rather than letting him see angry at the Navy headquarters, it is better to stay in the Navy headquarters all the time, out of sight and out of mind. Soon I came to the Navy's 16th Division. This small branch looks very luxurious. It seems that there is a lot of oil and water in the world. Colonel Mouse, there is a warship coming this way. I wonder if they are here to investigate us. A subordinate reported to Colonel Mouse, very nervous. What are you nervous about? Investigate what we are afraid of. Go and prepare a generous gift for me. I don't believe that in front of money, no one will be moved. Colonel Mouse was very calm. It's not the first time someone has investigated him, but the people who came to investigate him have all been put off by him with money. Colonel Mouse believes that money is the top priority. As long as there is enough money, anything can be done, and money can enlighten the mind. Let's go out with me to meet him, we still have to do what we need to do. Colonel Mouse led the way and led the soldiers to meet him. He's Colonel Mouse. He really deserves his name, isn't it, born from mouse and human? Shali said, looking at Colonel Mouse. Colonel Mouse was secretly angry, but did not dare to speak. You should know my purpose, right? Chen jumped off the warship and looked at Colonel Mouse lightly. Shengguan's purpose, Xiaoguan, is very clear. Xiaoguan has prepared a generous gift for Shengguan, Squeak. Came over with boxes of gold-silver jewelry and placed them in front of Chen. Looking at these jewels, Colonel Mouse's eyes flashed a hint of distress, but it was easier to make money by managing them well. I didn't expect you to be very good at doing things, but you are a colonel, what qualifications do you have to bribe me? Chen kicked away the gold and silver jewelry in front of him with disdain. Colonel Mouse's face turned ugly. It's all mixed up in the naval system, don't go too far, and I, Colonel Mouse, are not easy to mess with. Chen didn't want to talk nonsense with this guy at all. A laser pierced his forehead. The little Navy colonel, or the branch Navy colonel, was not qualified to talk to him. After Colonel Mouse died, the Navy soldiers immediately backed away in fright, looking at Chen with fearful eyes. The Mouse colonel is very rich, and he has to search and confiscated their belongings. Nami's eyes turned into symbols of money. Nami really loves money so much that she wants to put it away when she sees it. Nami, this is the money from Kokoja village, and they have to be compensated for it, Belmul said. Nami pouted, and finally reluctantly agreed. Let's talk about it first, only a part of it can be given. This is not only the money that was looted in Kokoja village, but also the money looted from other villages. Nami said. It's no problem for Kokoja village. Kokoja village is her hometown, where she grew up. But the other villages don't even need 3.2. Helping them solve Colonel Mouse is already a great favor. The money will never be returned to them. Nami is not the virgin. I find that you love money more and more. Belmo looked at Nami speechlessly. Nami held on to the money and didn't let go. Money is a good thing, but it's not enough to count her for a lifetime. Chengdu was a little surprised by the amount of money taken from Colonel Mouse. He didn't expect a colonel from a small branch to have so much money. It is estimated that Kizaru and the others are not as rich as Colonel Mouse. But Kizaru and the others don't care about money anymore. Although money is important, the strength of this world is the main theme. If you don't have strength, you can't keep more money even if you give it to you. Colonel Mouse is an example. After so many years of searching, all the money has been received by Nami in her pocket. Chapter 559 Neferutali VV _ After scavenging Colonel Mouse's small vault, the Navy soldiers ignored it and were dismissed immediately. A group of scumbags didn't even have the qualifications to be killed. Then she returned to Kokoja village and distributed the money she got from Colonel Mouse to some of the villagers. Nami felt distressed for a long time. But being able to take money out of Nami's hands is not easy, and I don't know why Nami wants so much money. Stayed in Kokoja village for a few days, and then left here. Let's go to the kingdom of Alabasta to see if K. Rockdal has found any information about Hades. After leaving the Kokoja village, the warship headed for the kingdom of Alabasta. Sand Crocodile Rockdal has been looking for the whereabouts of the ancient weapon Pluto, and I don't know if he has found it now. The value of ancient weapons is higher than that of devil fruits. If you can sell them to the system, you should get a lot of exchange points. The Heavenly King core taken out of Robin's body has now been sold to the system by 22 Chen, and he has obtained 300,000 exchange points, and now Chen's exchange points have reached 2.15 million. Come to Upside Down Mountain again. Then go through Upside Down Mountain into the Great Passage, and then go straight to the Kingdom of Alabasta. Whiskey Peak, let's stop here for a while. He looked at the two mountains and the town at the foot of the mountain not far away. This is a town that welcomes pirates, and all of them are bounty hunters. Compared with pirates and the Navy, the number of bounty hunters is very small. Is also a subordinate organization of Ba Rock Studio, and it is also the force of Sand Crocodile. When they came here, Chen and the others did not receive a warm welcome. Only pirates were welcome here, because pirates can bring them benefits, and what benefits can the Navy give them? These people are really realistic. Chen walked off the boat and touched his nose. He was all ready to be warmly welcomed, but he didn't expect people to even look at him. But it doesn't matter, I took the girls to drink a glass of wine, then replenished the supplies and set off directly. Come out. You actually ran into my boat, do you want to be a thief? Chen glanced at the cabin. And Neferutali Weiwei, who was hiding in the cabin, hesitated, and then came out. Hurry up and tell me, did you steal the money I hid? Nami turned around Weiwei. I didn't steal anything, I'm not a thief, I came to ask the general for help. Weiwei walked to Chen and bowed to Chen. She is a princess of a country, and she also has some understanding of things at sea. After seeing Chen's warship, she immediately recognized that it was Chen's warship. Then, after hesitating for a while, she dived into the warship. Because of the Ba Rock Work Club, in an attempt to start a civil unrest, Weiwei went undercover and learned that the behind-the-scenes boss of the Ba Rock Work Club was the Sand Crocodile Rockdal, one of the Seven Seas. Weiwei knew that she had no power to stop K. Rockdal at all. She originally wanted to go back and desperately stop the civil strife, but she didn't expect to see Hugo-chan's warship. This also gave Vivi hope that as long as she could get the help of the Admiral, Shichibu Heike Rockdal could also fight against him. So for the safety of the kingdom, she resolutely decided to sneak into the ship and ask Chen for help. Vivi spoke out about the plight of the Kingdom of Alabasta, and promised that if Chen helped their kingdom resolve the crisis, she would definitely thank Chen. "What are you thanking for?" Chen asked while looking at Wei Wei. "Alas, why are you asking so many questions? It's better to just agree. Wei Wei is a princess of a country. Can you treat us badly?" Nami walked over and said. After knowing that Wei Wei was a princess, Nami was very enthusiastic. Because in Nami's eyes, the princess is equal to a rich person, so this is a rich person. If you help her once, she will definitely give a lot of small money. So for the small money, Nami became very attentive. "Nami, let me tell you, the Kingdom of Alabasta is not rich, even a little poor," Robin said to Nami. Nami's face changed when she heard that, and her attentive smiling face disappeared, concealing what it meant to be reality for Wei Wei. Even Hancock, Alvia and the others, who already understood Nami's temperament, felt speechless when they saw her like this. "Wei Wei bit Kiba," Yuhi said with a face. We, the Kingdom of Alabasta, are very poor, and we have nothing to repay, so we can only promise each other." This is also when she encounters a handsome Chen who is very attractive to girls, so she will say these words. If you meet a wretched guy like Kizaru, you can only say that you can only repay by being a cow and a horse in the next life. No way, this is the different treatment of different appearances. You want to be beautiful. Monet looked at Wei Wei badly. This girl is very beautiful, not worse than her at all, very threatening. And Sha Tang also stood on the same front as her sister, looking at Wei Wei badly. "Your family was originally from Tianlong, right?" Chen asked while looking at Wei Wei. The Neferutari family is one of the 20 kings, but the Neferutari family refused to accept the qualification to move into the Holy Land marry Joa. But even so, she should belong to the Celestial Dragon, but she is just a Celestial Dragon who has not been recognized. Wei Wei shook her head, she didn't know these things at all. Then Pluto, you should know, right? This time Vivi nodded. I have seen an introduction about Hades in the collection of books in the palace, but I don't know anything else. Wei Wei said. It doesn't matter if you don't know, your father should know, it seems that you are still somewhat useful. Chen 290 has decided to take Wei Wei to threaten Cobra and ask him to tell the story about Hades. Wei Wei looked at Chen's eyes twinkling, and felt a sense of danger inexplicably. Is she in a den of thieves now? Just stay here for now. Monet, take good care of her, don't let her run away. Chen said with a smile on his face. Monet nodded, then took out the rope and tied her up. What are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? The tied Wei Wei had tears in her eyes. Don't worry, after I know what I want to know, I will let you go. You can stay here at ease. I am not a bad person. That's right, big sister, don't worry. Brother Chen is a good person. Bai Xing comforted Wei Wei. Then what about my country? I'll take care of Krokdar, the kingdom of Alabasta will be fine, you can rest assured. Chen waved his hand and said. Wei Wei was silent, the admiral should not lie to her. Just why tie her up? Wei Wei didn't understand. But now that she is tied up, she can't do anything, she can only hope that Chen can help them solve the trouble in the kingdom of Alabasta. She is only a weak woman, facing the sand crocodile, one of the 7 seas, but there is no way, she can only rely on Chen, the savior. Chapter 560 Humiliated Sand Crocodile. Coming to the kingdom of Alabasta, Hyuga Chen directly found the sand crocodile Rockdar. I don't know General Hyuga, what's the matter with me? Rockdale asked with a smile. In fact, he was very nervous in his heart. Of course I won't come to you when I have nothing to do. It's just that someone reported to me that you want to provoke civil unrest in a country. Is there such a thing? Chen asked lightly. Who did General Hyuga listen to? There must be some rumors. I, Rockdale, are an honest person, and it is impossible to do such a thing. Rockdale smoked a big cigar and looked like an old dog, but in fact he panicked to death. I don't need to be honest, think about how to solve it. If I tell Sengoku about this, I don't know what Sengoku will do. Chen jokingly looked at K-Rockthal. K-Rockthal,'s face was gloomy. After thinking about it, he walked into the house and took out a large box, which contained gold-silver jewelry and devil fruits. Little respect, please accept it with a smile. Before Chen didn't say anything, Nami rushed out immediately, then picked up the box, and looked at Rockdale with satisfaction. This person will come. Chen, when I saw him, I knew he was an honest person. Nami said rudely. This lady is right, Rockdale, are an honest person. Rockdale assured. It's really worthless. Chen knocked Nami's head on the head, and this little thing bought you off, it's really worthless. Sha Crocodile, it's hard for me to help you with something like you. I'll report it casually. The reward Sengoku gave me is more than that, Chen said while sitting on the chair with his feet up. General Hyuga, didn't you agree that you want to deal with Crocodile? Vivi raised Yuhi's face. To openly accept bribes from pirates, is the Navy already corrupted to such an extent? You seem to see something that you shouldn't see, it seems that you must be silenced. Hyuga Chen took out his knife and smiled coldly. Woo. Wei Wei couldn't bear it any longer, so she burst into tears. It's because the person she admired most in the past was Hyuga Chen. Now, is she going to die at the hands of the person she once admired the most? Okay, is it interesting to scare the little girl? Alvia rolled her eyes at Chen, then patted Wei Wei's back with her hand to comfort her. Just kidding. Chen put away the knife, then looked at K-Rockthal, his eyes cold. I won't talk nonsense with you anymore. I want to listen to the truth about the news of Hades, how much you get. Seeing Chen's cold eyes, K-Rockdale's heart suddenly burst, and he couldn't help but get nervous. He didn't expect that Hyuga Chen actually knew that he was looking for Hades. Has his purpose been known by the Navy? But Sand Crocodile will definitely not admit it so easily, he still wants to struggle. General Hyuga, I don't understand what Pluto is. What are you asking me for? Does General Hyuga think that there is a Pluto hidden in this broken place? Crack. With a heavy slap, the Sand Crocodile fan flew out. I'll say it again, tell me the information about Hades, or it'll be more than a slap next time. Chen looked at the Sand Crocodile indifferently. Wiping the blood from the corners of his mouth, Sha Crocodile was very angry. He didn't slap anyone in the face. He was also a face-saving person. How could he bear being slapped in the face by Hyuga Chen? If Hyuga Chen used his fists, he would still have some face, but with a big slap fan, this is a trampling on his personality. The clay figurines are also angry. General Hyuga better not to force me, everyone has dignity. Sand Crocodile said with clenched fists. Really, I know you also have dignity and also want face, but the face is not given by others, but earned by yourself. Obviously you have no face with me, Chen said disdainfully. Sand Crocodile got up and felt very humiliated, but what was the use of humiliation? Did he dare to do anything? Enduring the humiliation can save your life, but if you resist, you may not be able to save your life. Sand Crocodile still thinks that life is more important than dignity. How did General Hyuga know that I was looking for Pluto? Sand Crocodile admitting that he was looking for Pluto. Because he knew that if he continued to pretend to be mad and foolish, what awaited him was death. How do I know? You don't need to ask, I am asking you to tell me about Hades now. I really don't know the news of Pluto. I can't decipher the ancient texts that recorded Pluto. Sand Crocodile said aggrievedly. This is also the thing that he feels the most embarrassed about. He has clearly found the historical text about Hades, but he doesn't know it at all. Where's Cobra? Hand him over to me. Sand Crocodile frowned. Cobra was the person most likely to know Hades, but he never spoke. But as long as Cobra can speak, he can hope to get Hades, so it is impossible for him to hand Cobra out. Don't think about letting that she-male come over to fool me, or you will end up miserably. Chen warned him. Sand Crocodile's face sank again. Originally, he really wanted Mr. Tu, who imitated the fruit ability, to fool Hyuga-chen, but now it seems that Hyuga-chen knows him very well. But let him hand over Cobra. This is impossible, he wasted too much time and effort for Hades. Even in the face of Hyuga-chen, he couldn't give up Pluto. Therefore, the sand crocodile shot towards Chen without hesitation, and quickly attacked towards Chen. His golden hook contains a very poisonous hook with Sasori poison. If the poisoner is not disinfected immediately, the poison will soon die. This is also his support. If Hyuga-chen can be poisoned, he believes that even Hyuga-chen will not be able to escape death. So the sand crocodile became more and more excited. If he could kill Hyuga-chen, wouldn't he be completely famous in the sea? Aren't pirates just for fame? As long as you can kill Hyuga-chen, that is to die immediately, and sand crocodile feels worth it. However, just relying on the sneak attack of the sand crocodile, he wanted to kill Hyuga-chen. Even if he could poison Chen, the poison would not make Chen any better. A barrier blocked the sneak attack of the sand crocodile, which was the barrier released by Khalifa. Sand crocodile's face is very ugly. You are very courageous. You attacked me. Have you thought about how to die? Don't say that I don't take care of you. I will definitely give you a way to die that will satisfy you. Chen crossed his arms and looked at the sand crocodile lightly. Dead? I won't die, I will find Hades, and then come to take revenge. Sand crocodile immediately ran out. Originally, he was ready to escape, so he escaped very quickly and decisively. If you let you escape easily in front of me, then I'll have no face. A gravitational force erupted, pulling the escaped sand crocodile back. Chen jokingly looked at the ugly sand crocodile.